Hi, if you're watching this message right now, it means that you're about to watch between episodes 1 and 23 of my show, Conversations with Atul. Please note that when you'll be watching these first 23 episodes, you will just see a picture of me and a picture of the guest on your screen. That is because the first 23 episodes we never recorded live video. These were audio only episodes meant for Spotify. So what happened was, when I shifted my show to YouTube and started recording video, I felt that my audience should also listen to these first fantastic 23 episodes with some amazing people, great anecdotes, inspiring lives. Like Mukhtar Bhai, who runs a Carrom club in Thane for the last 35 years. The amazing voiceover artist Nikhil Kapoor, the orchestra man Sudhir Sinha, or the whistler Nagesh Surve. I wanted you to be a part of this experience. One little thing that you will see this message that I've recorded right now before each of the 23 episodes of Conversations with Atul. So, enjoy the conversations and welcome to Conversations with Atul.
Conversations with Atul.
This episode is sponsored by Yongli and Vikram Kaul Investments, New York. In 1995, he defeated India number 1. 3 months later, he beat the Maharashtra number 1. The very next day, he made a life-altering decision to quit a very important match and a budding sports career. He left the tournament midway. After that day, he never played Carrom with the same intensity again. We are a sum total of the choices we make and the paths we decide to travel on. And nobody I know has a better story about life decisions than my guest today. Today I'm conversing with Vaibhav Korgaonkar, a man who believes that his mistakes are what every sports person, or rather everyone, should learn from. Hi, I'm Atul Taishete and welcome to my show, Conversations with Atul. Hello everybody. Today we have Vaibhav Korgaonkar amongst us. And Vaibhav I've known for a long time because he's my batchmate from my business school. And how I remember, I don't remember much of him when I was there, and I think we hardly talked. But in the last 10 or 12 years when I was on Facebook, and I remember seeing his posts on Carrom. And I always wondered what his story was and what it was. And his story is absolutely fascinating. And it's about choices. The way I understood it is that it's about choices and where our choices land us and how important those choices are. So that's what it is. And so a warm welcome to you, Vaibhav.
Thank you, Atul. Hi,
Welcome to the
everyone.
show. So, look, I generally start off my podcasts with this one question, which I feel is that we are all migrants.
Right.
I mean, we have this thing now in this ki 700 साल पहले देश में कौन आया और 2000 साल पहले कौन आया, but actually all of us are migrants.
Right.
So everybody has actually a migrant story which goes maybe 2 generations back, maybe goes 10 generations back, maybe goes half a generation back, like all those
Right.
people who come from UP and Bihar, and we are constantly migrating as a species. So what is your migration story in the sense that how have you landed up in this city and from where, like what is, like how much back is it? What generation is it?
So, as far as Mumbai is concerned, I was born in Lal Bagh, a chawl system in typical chawl system in Lal Bagh, where my grandfather had shifted from Konkan. So he came here to work for a mill because basically Lal Bagh was the mill center of all the
The
mills.
hotbed of mills,
Yeah.
actually.
So he came in here, and then that's how we started off in Lal Bagh in a chawl where it is a typical chawl system where there are say 30 rooms on a single floor, and there is a huge long veranda where you can cycle in also, and it's kind of a family in the sense I can just go out and my parents need not bother about me because I can have food at any place, so it doesn't matter. It was like people used to sleep outside also in the veranda, a common kind of a thing, and it was typical 10 by 10 square feet
Like,
area.
I think what you mean is those Girgaon chawls.
Girgaon chawls, yeah.
Or like if you've seen the film Katha,
Yeah.
Katha where Dipti Naval and
Correct.
Nasruddin Shah stayed, and
Absolutely,
it's a
absolutely.
common balcony kind of a thing. My
Yeah.
father has lived in those chawls,
Okay.
actually in Girgaon. So I mean, I've visited those chawls, and it's so how many storied buildings were these?
These were two-storied.
These were
So total
two-storied.
100 rooms in one chawl. There are 4 such chawls. And it was kind of a well-knit family in the sense there were fights also, but we were like I was enjoying
But there are fights in families too.
families too. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So it was at no point in time there. So we were somewhere around 9 people in one room. So my family of 5, then my uncle's family of 3, my grandmother, and we were very happy in that 10 by 10 setup also. It's kind of there was no feeling of deprivation or nothing. I was thoroughly enjoying life over there because there too much of excitement going on all the day. So and lot of kids around, so lot of friends, lot of fights, lot of it was a different kind of a experience in the sense uh, uh, parents were out for work. Obviously my mother worked with MTNL, my father worked with the Indian Navy, so we were on our own mostly because grandmother could not walk out. She was supposed to take care of us, but we were not in control, kind of. So we were all around. I have a younger brother and an elder sister. So he was small. So but I was all over the place at that point in time. I was roaming around. I used to be anywhere. Nobody in the family would know where do I spend my day. So that's how it was.
So even the toilets were outside, right? I mean,
Yeah, there were some 6 toilets. I remember particularly there was 6. Now if you do the mathematics, it would be like 6 toilets for 150 people.
that's right. That's
So but at that point in time, it was never a botheration. In the sense, it was a usual life kind of.
It's about what you don't have doesn't bother you.
Correct.
That's what
Absolutely,
I realized in my
absolutely,
life.
absolutely.
Is that when I was in, I used to stay in this place called Yash. Before that, we used to stay in Bhandop in a chawl,
Yeah.
which was like a Betty chawl, which was not like 4-storied and all that, and the toilets were outside.
Correct.
And you didn't know anybody. Like in my whole family, there were no educated people. There was only one family which was like very far off, but otherwise, so you don't know what it is to not have.
Yeah,
And if you don't know what it is to not have, it does not bother you.
absolutely.
That is the, I
Correct.
think, the biggest
And therefore,
difference.
there's no feeling of deprivation. In the
There
sense,
yeah, absolutely.
there is you don't know what you don't have. In the sense, until far off places. Matlab, I would have gone to a restaurant after at my 10th possibly.
Right.
I have not
right.
seen a restaurant before that, so
Right.
it doesn't matter whether restaurant is there or not.
Right.
I was thoroughly enjoying my life.
Right.
That was
Right.
how it
And
was.
I can tell you this because when I was in, I used to stay in this area called Yashodan Nagar, and which was like an area completely surrounded by slums. And we used to live in
Yeah.
a 250, 300 square feet house, something like that. But then the toilet was inside there. After Bhandop, we
Correct.
shifted there. And all my friends were also lower middle class, most of them. I was better off. Because
Right.
my parents were working, so they used to give me money. And these
Yeah.
other kids, like my friends, didn't have money, but I always had money because my parents didn't have the time to cook. My
Correct.
mother didn't have the time to cook. Father to never cooked, but I'm saying, so my mother never had the time to cook, so they gave me money. So I was privileged in that sense. So as long as I was in school, I was privileged. And then I went to college. And I went to college and I suddenly had this group.
Yeah.
Where people had like
Understood.
2 BHKs, 3 BHKs, and they had like one friend had a resort, I think, who you know, when we were in college, and they had cars and they were CAs and ICWAs, and they had their fathers were in senior management
Right.
in companies, and it was a different world, and I had never seen this world.
Correct.
And it seems like, and I never really regretted that I lived that
Obviously.
life before or whatever, but really, that is when you see the difference, the class difference between you and what you didn't know and what was there, So, I mean, I understand it completely. I just,
Sure.
no, go ahead.
So I am able to exactly relate to what you're saying. Exactly to the T, because I have also gone through this once. Till the time I was in Lalbagh, then going after that, how things have changed, how the horizon has changed. How did I get to know कि ठीक है, that there is something called as a bike also, which
Right, right.
So otherwise before that I would not know.
Right.
So it's so much because nobody would have a bicycle also. A person who is having bicycle in a chawl is a privileged guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Say, so That's how it was. But there was no feel. My one benefit was my parents. Since my parents were working, I was always independent, and my mother was working in a situation where it was not allowed for women to work at that point in time, and she was doing night shifts. So it was a big taboo. But doing night shifts and working throughout the day, no bains at that point in time. So all that hard work, I think it is whatever I am today. It is because of the hard work of the parents, or so that's
No,
all.
I'll tell you my story about because you said this bike thing, and like in college, I mean, I think quite a few of my friends had bikes,
Yeah.
or they had cars at home or something like that, and we were always on our cycles like that. And my thing was that I finished my graduation and was still driving a cycle. We never had a phone till I was 21,
Yeah.
22. Then I went to Jamnalal Bajaj, okay, and then I got some job there, which was I'll come to that some other time. And then I saved some money when I was in that my first job, and I bought a bike because I always wanted a bike. And I never had a bike in college, and it was something to have a bike in college, Then
Yeah,
it was about
absolutely.
basically about some girl will sit beside you, that is behind you, and that never happened in my life when I was in college. So I saved money, and what education can do for you, that is what I'm trying to say,
Right.
and how all this matters if you just want to do a job in life. So I had a bicycle and I saved money and I bought a bike. I remember it was because the Yamaha RX 100 they had just discontinued and they had come out with the Yamaha RX 135,
Correct.
and it was a really bad bike.
It was my dream bike also.
It
Yamaha.
was your dream
at that
bike.
point in time.
Yeah, but it was the RX 100 they had discontinued.
Yeah,
It was a two-stroke.
RX 100 actually. If you ask me, RX
Yeah, and
100.
the RX 100. Today the RX 100 you can still buy for 2 lakhs on
Yeah,
OLX.
but it was a different model and a very
Yeah, because it was two-stroke.
lean.
So they came out with an RX 135, and I saved money, and I remember it cost 47,000. So I had saved all that money in because jo bhi salary tha, I think 10,000-12,000, and then was a huge amount of salary.
Right.
So वो बचा के I bought a bike, and I drove it for around 800. And जिस दिन मैंने बाइक खरीदा ना उसका कुछ I think in a month I got a job with ABN AMRO in Delhi. Okay, ABN AMRO Investment Bank in Delhi. And I read the appointment letter and it said, boss, this is your salary, blah, blah, blah. And now there is a 2 lakh loan, which is interest free. And there is a 5 lakh loan for a car.
Car.
So, which is like 2% interest on a house loan. And I mean, and like a CTC of 6.5 and all. I was like, boss, abhi to car mil raha hai, abhi to bike bhi nahi tha. So, within and I went to Delhi and I bought a car actually. I didn't take my bike along with me.
Right.
I bought a car. So for me, the journey from a bicycle to a bike and a car was within 8 months.
Right.
And it was, I mean, I really realized that what an education can do for you, just for people like us particularly, have never seen stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Not that I believe that education actually adds any. Nowadays, though, everything is democratized. You don't really need to go to an institution. If you just want to learn, you should go to an institution for the brand. There's nothing else actually.
Right.
So. Then this is the journey which was there and it was amazing. So I just want to come back to something which you discussed, which you said about the mills. And my film Vartak Nagar is about the mills. Actually, it's about that strike in the
I know.
1980s.
Yeah.
So just give me a sense of how Lal Bagh was because you were not there during the strike, was it? When were you there?
I was there from 72 to 82. I think strike happened just at that point
At
in
around
time.
80, 82. It happened in 81. It started in 81,
Correct.
80, 81. And it
That's the time when I left Lal Bagh, but I surely know how the households would be dependent upon the mills. Matlab every one person from every household would be a mill worker possibly in the
Right.
chawl.
Right.
So shutting down of those mills was a kind of a catastrophic actually. It is as good as
But
the-
you must be going there now after Kurla when you later.
I was going there for all the festivals, Dahi Handi.
So what did you see? My point was that from seeing having that childhood when it was at the peak of the buzz, and from there it obviously started going down in terms of economic levels, in terms of people becoming poorer, and that we know, I mean, the history of Bombay, of gangsterism in Bombay, actually starts with the strike of the mills,
Yes,
particularly the
yes.
Maharashtrian gangsters.
If you
most of them-
watch those movies, Lal Bagh Parad and Dagdi Chawl, good Marathi movies, I think it is reflected in also in those movies. So
And you also have your father's story with your uncle or something, which you have to
Yeah.
tell us after that. But can you just give me a sense of what that was in that in that
So it was
area?
like after when the mills, see what happens is empty minds is devil's workshop. Till the time people are working, they are going to office, coming back, spending some time with the family at least. Once the moment they don't have work, so all the vices come into play. Like they started drinking, uh, without limit. Then they used to after when they are not in senses, every evening there used to be a fight. After one is drunk, everyone becomes a bhai. So I have witnessed all those fights also, and then families suffer because of all this. There is no money in the family, then family gets affected, and the vices in that tension, the drinking habits, people started suffering even further, and then I used to witness. I have seen actual fights when I was second, third standard, fourth standard kind of, and with all the bad words, without knowing, without understanding the reasons. I would also use that without knowledge of my parents possibly. So once I used it on my father, I guess that point in time without knowing the meaning, and then that was a time when my father realized that something
It
is
was a mother thing, right? I
yeah.
mean that.
Huh. So
So
so at that point in time, maybe my father realized because he was a very social person. So it was very difficult for him to move out of that setup because it was a social setup. So many friends and moving into somewhere else, which is he was not.
right.
He was trying to accept that thing for a long time, but after seeing that maybe his children are getting affected, that is the time when he maybe finally decided. And the second thing, my uncle's
When you
family,
cursed your father.
I would have, I would have cursed my father. Yeah, cursed in the sense he hit me for something. So maybe he scolded me for something. I would go here and there. I would do
You can use those
gunda.
words. It's not something where this is not a
Okay.
show where you.
Okay.
Yeah. So you cursed him, and then he realized that.
Yeah, something. So this is not the maybe this is not the place. Secondly, there in one of the fights he got injured. In fights in the sense he was trying to save someone, and he got injured, and which was a very serious injury. Somebody had tried to hit him on his head with that iron rod, and he just escaped, and it hit it on his back near the spinal cord. So that's where the injury was serious. So then, as a family, my mom and dad would have decided.
What was the reason for that fight? You have any?
It was general. It was kind of well, for all these fights there was no reason normally. Usually there was no reason in the sense any petty reason would have translated into such fights on a daily basis. So these fights were quite common. Just that a little people who are working and all they would be involved to a very smaller extent in such fights. So one such incident that my father was trying to resolve or something, and then he was hit. So that is the time when we decided, and my uncle's family was also expanding. So then we bought a flat in Kurla for 12,000 rupees in 82. So I think it is beyond imagination. One room kitchen in 12,000 is something which
Yeah,
is
yeah. We bought in, I think, 70, in the 70s, late 70s, something for 16,000 or 15,000.
Yeah.
And that money was scarce.
Yeah.
Because my father and mother will still tell me about how they managed it. I used to ask
It
them,
was-
why did you buy it here? Like even today I'll ask them, why will you buy it here when you could have got something for 20,000 in, say, Naupada area, or which is a better area in Thana? And said, boss, you have no idea what that huge difference between 16 and 20,000 is.
So-
You don't evaluate it in terms of today's money value.
And that's about because of the awareness today. They were at that point in time, the priority was to have a good place to stay. That's about it. It was
Right.
not about locations or capital appreciation or nothing of that sort.
Right.
Now that we are educated, we are able to understand all these things. For them, it was like
Survival.
how much can fit in their how much loan can fit in into their salaries. So
Yeah,
that was the
yeah,
was the criteria, and whatever fitted in, we just took the call. Maybe that is they would not discuss with us, but now in the hindsight we can always
But I'll
assume.
come back to those fights because I remember those fights because I was in Yashoda and there were fights during Ganpati all
Yeah.
the time. I mean, there were these fights during, like, if one Ganpati is going and the other Ganpati is coming from the other side. God knows, boss, both of dono Bhagwan tumhara hi hai,
हाँ.
and that little thing that these, and it was all run by goons. I mean, everything was run by local gundas,
Right.
actually, and that is how it used to be. And there used to be these fights where bats used to come out and hockey sticks used to come out and tube lights used to come out, and these were weapons.
So weapons were like tube lights,
Yeah.
iron rods.
Iron rods.
So I remember there used to be common washrooms, okay, and there used to be the windows would be of iron covered by the iron rods, fitted in by the iron rods. The moment the fights were there, all those iron rods would be missing for some time. It was kind of a flexible thing. After next day morning, all the rods will be there in place. So it was that kind of. So it was kind of the way you say it in police stations. No, they keep the rifles on the stand.
Stands,
So
right.
that window used to be a stand of the weapons.
Weapons. No, but I have seen fights, like, I remember something happened, and his friend came in and they hit somebody with a bat. Then that was the story. Then I never saw it, and that was it. And it was some story. I mean, in the sense that kid was, his head was. You imagine somebody hitting somebody full force with a bat.
Yeah.
Because he came to save his brother. And this was a story. This is a real. I think the Naik brothers. I think in Parel.
Absolutely.
This is the real story.
I have read the
Amar
book.
Naik, I think.
Amar
Naik
Naik,
story.
I have read that book.
Amar
and
Naik story is
It
exactly
is
this.
really unfortunate.
Yeah,
what
because he was
happened.
an engineer.
Yes.
And his brother was
So
involved in
Ashwin
something.
Naik was an engineer who had come from London, and I think I read in the book that Amar Naik was son of a flower vendor, this vegetable vendor,
Yeah,
and because of that extortion rackets, he got into. He was fighting for justice. That's what I.
Yeah, and
I
he tried to
got it
save his
from the-
brother. No, this is true story. He tried to save his brother, and that is when he got it, and then he became a complete gangster. And that's an outlier, actually. Most gangsters in Bombay, I think, were from lower class backgrounds.
Yeah.
Not even middle class, actually, and highly lower income groups. And it was a kind of a way out also to make money, see power. People are afraid of you. I mean, all that used to happen. So. That was about the fights, and then you shifted to Kurla, right?
Kurla.
And what actually, how did Kurla pan out? I mean, did you improve? Did you become a better son?
So Kurla was no better in the sense. Yeah. In fact, I would say Lalbagh was still okay. Kurla was like similar setup. It was the only difference was the toilet was at home. Since it was a one-room kitchen, there was a flat system. It was some 7-story building, 20 flats, 28 flats in a building and all. But there were 39 such buildings. It was kind of a chawl system in an improvised manner. But the crowd was the same, almost the same. So
Yeah, because if you buy a house in 12,000,
yeah,
anywhere in Bombay,
Correct.
I can assure you the crowd is going to be the same.
So-
Like if you had even come to Yashodhan Nagar where I used to stay,
Yeah.
the Lalbagh crowd is what the kind of crowd that you would get.
What happens is it is kind of a natural process. So why the crowd is the same? It is kind of a natural thing where every kid wants to enjoy to the maximum. So we would do everything from playing marbles. So I remember I had a fight with one Muslim guy because he did not give the marbles which I had won. So
Very
those
common.
kind of
Very
fights.
common fights, this.
Yeah. So those kind of petty fights, So and there used to be friends groups and all. We would be number of friends in a cricket team. We would bond together like very close friends, and there would be another cricket team, and then if there are fights in between them, so they would go to people would not think before fighting. That was the mindset, and because the movies, I think the movies we would prefer were also like these. We would see it happening day in day out. So it
Like Arjun and Ankush.
so then what happens is it is kind of a normal thing, and then you see nothing wrong in maybe in getting involved into it. So I think that was the mindset possibly. And then everyone was too busy with their own problems. So then kids would be kind of independent from all the day. So then nobody would, in such a big area, nobody would know where their kids are and what they're doing. So to the extent that I would sit on the fourth floor of terrace and sit on the edge of the terrace for, just for the excitement part of it or the adventure part of it. So nobody was there to keep a watch like we do. We do protect our children now. Nothing of that sort is distantly possible for our children because we as parents are very protective. So that time, parents did not have that leeway because they were busy with their maybe, and there was no technology. Today, with the technology, you can always monitor or take care of your kids. But at that point in time, there's nothing of that sort. So maybe parents would not even know where the kids are in the entire day. But they would have some kind of a confidence that he's independent and he's able to manage from the early age. So for example, I used to cross 10 railway tracks every day to go to school. If there are trains waiting in the car shed, I would go beneath the trains or above the trains, so whatever. But that was a normal thing. Today, I would not I would not allow my kids to possibly do that. But
So you're going between the wheels actually of the train and to cross the train.
because of
to cross the tracks.
because of the assumption that the train will not move.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and that was a routine. There was no question of any fear about all these things. So tracks and all the fast tracks also, all the outstation trains also, all the tracks we used to cross every day, twice, and that was part of life. So there was nothing to fear about.
Right. So that reminded me of this film which Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery, I forget the name of that film, where there's this thing moving round, and they had to jump through that. So if the train actually
Not that
started, if the train actually started, that is what you would have to do. Which luckily it never did, and that's why we're having this interview, this conversation actually. And you feel that if some kid did this in my house, मैं देखता हूँ उसको. That's what is happening. Hindsight is just about you not happening it.
But that MRI ball was so valuable for us. Somebody cutting it into two pieces was not was beyond our tolerance levels.
Yeah.
Clearly, because we would have won that ball after playing a hard match for the entire day.
Right. And there were marbles and Sorat and all these. It's like marbles because there were these three. And I was always bullied actually, but there were these bullies.
Yeah.
Within every society, there were this, at least in the lower class areas, because there was one building behind us and there were no bullies, which were like 1 BHKs and all that. But in our area, which was like smaller areas, there were these bullies. And they were just small time bullies. They were nothing else, So this Nilesh guy, all of us are playing, and he used to come and just disperse the...
and take away all the marbles.
Take away or just disturb you. And what kicks he used to get at that age, God knows, what... it was absolutely asshole, crappy behavior for no reason. I mean, there was like kids
playing.
So
I particularly remember, I remember the name of that guy, Musa. He used to always bully everyone. And we were at least, we used to at least think before fights. Okay, but it was beyond the tolerance. Then he was a bully. So he was being unfair also. So then one day
there were all kinds of bullies in these areas.
Correct.
There were all kinds of bullies in these areas, and their whole idea was to try to get that power over you, And why is something which is because it's probably the equation then. And this was there was a lot of violence also. I mean, like I remember generally being beaten up or for no reason at all. Not much because I think. But other kids I know who would just be beaten up for no specific reason, So it was a very different area. And then those marbles, like I had a whole, I think at the end, at last count, when I stopped playing, I had around 600 marbles.
Yeah, I used to have the dalda
dabba, right?
And select the good good marbles and save it in
the black ones, you remember the black ones were the...
And my school shorts pockets uniform pockets would always be torn because I used to keep a lot of marbles
inside. Yeah. And that is how it was. That world was
different,
very different, I think. And it's absolutely difficult to imagine it today, you know. And
Yeah,
I think that, but this was also a very lower class world, the one which we're discussing right now.
yes.
Because once I went to college, and I had friends from, say, who
Middle
used to live
class,
in Naupada area in Thana, which was like more like it was a more
sophisticated,
Brahminical area, honestly,
sophisticated
and
kind of.
it was like that, and parents were better off. I never heard them discuss all this.
Yeah.
I never heard them discuss all this. I never heard them talk about marbles. I never heard them talk about, like, even the billa which was there. Uske साथ there used to be games.
Games.
Billa as in the
The
top
top
of
cover.
a soft drink bottle, like thumbs up. So you could win them and you had to hit them with a stone and all that. And all I never heard these my other friends once I went to
Right.
college, and I never heard them talk about this. So I somehow uh, correct me if I mean I hope somebody corrects me, but I mean largely in these are all more lower class, lower games. The upper class had something
I think
else.
what happens is the selection of those games depend upon the financial situation of the family, possibly. So, in these areas, the games like the no cost, zero cost games, these are all zero cost games, marbles or gilli danda or the billa. So therefore, it is an obvious choice because there is no cost to it. At least in cricket, at least you need a bat, a set of
A bad
bat
ball.
and stumps and ball.
And then the one who has the bat will
Will
behave
be
like that's
king.
what in my other episode, this is what I was talking about. And it scars people for life because
Yeah.
this was a school episode. I mean, a school friend who was talking about this. And there was this school alumni, the people who are generally meeting, and he's just talking about some random person who I don't want to name, and in Vartak Nagar, and he said, "अरे वो ना पहला ना जब बच्चे थे ना हम लोग तो ना बैट लेके आता था
और फिर
और खेलता था बैटिंग लेता था और भाग
भाग
जाता था." Now,
This
for
was
me,
quite common,
for
actually.
me, it was very common. But for me, the point was not that. The point was that this guy remembers it after almost 30 years.
Yeah.
It has scarred him so much that he remembers this so vividly that boss ये था और ये ऐसा ऐसा करता था, and that anger and that thing कि कभी तो उसका काफी बार उसको बैटिंग नहीं मिला.
हाँ.
He was just made to ball at this boy.
Correct.
And we're all in the same school, same division, same class.
Correct.
And every day but you are just using your privilege to do the batting. You know, and your kids, I mean, I understand it's stupid to hold that grudge for so long, but it does scar people. You know, it does keep that memory fresh. After so many years, so many decades, somebody is still talking about not getting batting. You
But I
know?
feel the level of passion was very high still after all these problems. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember once when I did not have a bat that day because it was broken or whatever it is, and entire team did not have a bat. So for few days what we used to do is wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning because pitches would be reserved normally by the elder kids, by the older kids.
Right. And you used to make your own pitch.
Correct.
Actually.
We used to actually
Yeah.
use the roller to.
Yeah, we made a season pitch. I remember you dug it out and you did, and it didn't
So
last.
we used to wake up every morning before the older kids came up, and then we had only one stump. So having that one stump, we used to do bowling practice. So I think I'm talking about the passion level. So I don't see that today. Kids may have all the sets, cricket sets with the pad, but that passion is not very easily seen. So
It's also to do with resources, I think.
Yeah, I
because now it's like everybody's with a smartphone, and like people
Yeah.
like us and my parents, I'm telling you, who are. I just got my mom a smartphone about 4 or 5 years back. Now it's a long marriage, and they were always talking, but now it's like dad is watching something on YouTube and mom is watching something on YouTube. And it's so user friendly, na? So it's like देखा तो यार ये video खत्म हो गया दूसरा video आ गया. So that keeps on coming. So she's now watching YouTube. And both of them are now watching YouTube, which is the new world. And I'm talking about a very, very long marriage, and yet this is what is happening. And so I understand it from the children's perspective to a certain extent. So I don't know how you can get that passion into it. So we'll discuss that, but let's get back to something like where Kurla, and you said that you became a gunda, there. That what does
Gunda
that
Gunda in the sense not a bully, but I could not tolerate injustice. In the sense somebody bullying me, I could not tolerate. I could not take it lying down. So therefore there would be natural fights. So somebody tries to bully me, I would not take it I do not take it at all. So that's where, and bullies are there everywhere. So couple of times I hit them back and got a beating also. My parents would not know. If they hear this, they will be shocked. They will be shocked to even hear a single bad word from my mouth because I have not heard any from my father also, because in spite of the fact that he stayed in Lalbagh. So, but outside everywhere it was
Yeah, but
there.
that's, I mean, like my father, it seems never, he never, I mean, I think he used to smoke earlier when he was like 18, 20, and I came to know much later. But he never smoked once I don't remember him of smoking, drinking, eating pan,
Yeah.
But yeah, look at his son. So it's, it doesn't
So actually,
matter.
that's what I've taken from my father, that in spite of living in Lalbagh and Kurla, he never had a single vice. So therefore, and he was quite very very calm, very social person. So even if there are fights, he would be the person who would go and resolve those. He was not the one who would get involved, kind of. So there were few fights, gunda in the sense, I was aggressive. So if somebody gets on to me, I would not tolerate. And I had my group of friends also who would be always there.
Yeah,
So it
everybody
was
had a gang, actually.
it was a gang kind of a thing. There
Yeah.
were no one-to-one fights, never. In my school, I remember in RM Bhatt High School, I was in RM Bhatt High School. I saw there was a lot of thing between Marathi medium and English medium at that point in time.
Oh,
Okay, those fights. So somehow the guy, he pushed my friend, and I just kept quiet at that point in time, because there were some 10 of them and we were 2 of us. But then we went to our class. This was second standard, and being born from Lalbagh, so I could not take it lying down. So some 25 of us ransacked into their class. We just ransacked their water bottles and tiffins, and I was kind of taken to the principal for all this. All of us were taken to the principal for all this act. But it was quite kind of a proper gang war in the school.
a small time gang. Yeah.
So the point was, injustice was not tolerated at any cost. That was a given.
But would it have been that you have been unjust to somebody, and do you ever feel that
Not
way?
knowingly, but unknowingly possible. Yeah. Unknowingly, it may be possible.
No, I'm just trying to understand your sense of justice. That's all that I'm trying to understand. And what is justice to you? And what is
I would
justice to you? For example, at that age, what would justice mean?
Justice would mean that.
Because it's a very fancy word,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So justice is something which.
now we're talking as a 8-year-old boy, 10-year-old boy.
So from that point of view only, don't mess up with us. In the sense, if somebody messes up with any of us, not just me, any of us, then
That is not justice, that is gundaism.
they mess up in the sense for the don't try to bully us, rather.
Okay.
So
okay.
don't mess up in the sense to we don't know who you are.
Talk in Hindi, that's
हाँ,
completely.
we don't know who you are, but we don't care.
Okay.
क्योंकि लालबाग में तो और कुर्ला में तो there will be many people, ना, many bhais and whoever. But it was
Kurla
like
was a hotbed of all this. But I think every area had their bhai, their local bhai. That's what, like, even in my film, it is like that it's every area that people don't understand, that this whole thing about gangsterism and organized, like Dawood and all that, that came much later.
Yeah.
There was a small
that was-
area,
हाँ.
and that area में एक like within like half a square kilometer वो भाई है.
So there was organized crime that is separate. This is unorganized crime,
Yeah.
kind of. Crime, you can't call it crime also. This was just incidents.
But इसमें से ही निकल के उधर जाते थे ना.
Yeah.
So it was like a training ground for getting there.
यहाँ जो I have read in the books कि the way we have in management parlance poaching grounds, like good organizations who give good training. So I think in underworld there are maybe wherever they meet, maybe prisons or whatever social events.
Right.
Those are the poaching grounds.
Those are the poaching grounds. Yeah. So how did Kurla pan out? I mean,
Kurla was studies wise actually. Studies wise, I became more complacent because I was reasonably good in studies.
And you were how old then?
I was in fifth standard, so 10 years,
Okay.
and up to 6 years I stayed in Kurla. Studies wise, I became complacent. I was very competitive in Lal Bagh, in the sense the Alimed High School was very good. So studies wise, I topped. Me and my sister topped in the first year itself. Then we were kind of complacent, and I was not. So studies never came to me naturally, in the sense I used to study maybe as a responsibility. At that point in time, also I felt that responsibility to study after all this. So I always studied for the exam, whatever was needed. But frankly, I never liked to study.
No,
To
who
be
likes
honest,
study? I mean,
yeah. So
even people who like to study, the moment their studies are over, they are like
yeah.
very few people.
Because I think that was because there were too many exciting activities around,
Yeah.
which I had to sacrifice maybe for studies for whatever amount of time. So Kurla, but one thing was it was not a improvement as such, because till 10th standard I did not know कि engineering क्या होता है या medical में कैसे जाते हैं. My sister took up commerce, so I took up commerce. So it was a very easy decision kind of. So there was no awareness at that point in time कि क्या, although I was reasonably good at mathematics, ऐसा कोई thought नहीं था कि engineer बनना है, doctor बनना है. हाँ ठीक है, commerce अभी commerce करेंगे, बाद में पता नहीं, बाद का तो never. So 11th standard, so Kurla 10th standard I passed out. Then we shifted to Thane after that. Thane was a different place altogether actually.
So where does this sports thing come in? You know, which is like you were a kabaddi
I
player.
was a kabaddi player. By blood, I was a kabaddi player. My uncle was ace kabaddi player. He was kind of one of the top kabaddi players in the country. He captained Central Railway, and I went on his footsteps. I was
What was his name?
Ashok Korgaonkar. So he's passed away at early age, but I used to watch him play all the time, and through the very close places, in the sense I was not in the audience, never in the audience. I was with the team always, because I was very small. I was allowed, so I watched his game and I had taken up his style of play naturally, in the sense, or through observation kind of. So in school it was all kabaddi. So I captained one of the zones among the 6 zones in Mumbai in the interzone tournament through the school and all. Then until 10th standard it was all kabaddi. I bunked all the lectures in my 10th standard. I started bunking from 10th standard, school itself. And it was because of the sport. And sort of I was allowed because I was captain the zone and all. So we used to practice during the school. And then, in fact, I got admission in Thana College in the sports quota because of kabaddi. So I did not score much in my 10th standard. It was some 72%, due to which I think I was denied admission in Podar. So therefore I ended up in Khalsa. So I remember those times when at 4 o'clock in the morning, I traveled from Kurla to Sion and in the queue for the government forms, because that was the only option available for me to get into first year of BCom, since I was not getting direct admission into Podar.
FYJC.
FYJC.
11th.
Then I was automatically put on to Khalsa. So I spent 1 year in Khalsa, but it was traveling was becoming difficult from Thane. So then I second year junior college, 12th standard I came to Thane College through kabaddi, the sports quota. But in Thane, kabaddi did not take up well, because I did not that time I did not. I used to play through college, but I did not find a team who can consistently play with. That's where Carrom started actually.
Okay. So you just gave up kabaddi because you couldn't find the right kind of people
Yeah.
to play with.
The team, right kind of a team to. I participated in district level tournaments through one team, but it did not take up well. So from there, and by that time I had started playing Carrom, which I started liking also. I used to play Carrom from the childhood. Again, there are two easiest games in the Lal Bagh situation. One is Carrom, one is kabaddi. My father played Carrom, with whom I used to always go to the club and linger around kind of. So I used to see them play, and sometimes I played well when I played for the first time. So Carrom was also there, but then it came up in Kurla. Kurla, I joined one. I used to go to one small club where Carrom also started simultaneously, and then from 11th standard I started playing professional Carrom.
Because I remember my father, because I think it was that time in Girgaon and all these areas. You're right about that, but lower class areas particularly, there were only 2 or 3 games actually.
Yeah.
It was cricket, and other than all the street games, which didn't cost
Correct.
anything, but there was cricket, there was carom, and there was probably kabaddi and volleyball. I think
Volleyball,
people
yes.
also used to play
Volleyball was
volleyball a lot because my
right.
father was a good volleyball player, and he was also used to play very good carom. I mean, when today we have a this what was that?
Carrom board at home.
Carom board, no, but what is that best carom board? That's
Precise.
no,
Precise or
precisely as in
Surko.
the master carom board or something, master board or something.
Surko.
It's, so
Surko.
I don't know which one it is.
That
but
time
I
it was
still-
Surko. So his time it would be Surko.
Yeah, so he was that, and he used to love it, and he had a certain way of playing. You should play with him someday.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I would
I'll
love
call
to.
you when he comes here.
Yeah,
I'll
whenever.
call you.
Please do that.
Yeah,
I would
I'll
love
call
to.
you. Yeah, and please, he'll be very happy to play with you. And there is a certain kind of where he plays. I don't know. He plays like this. He hides and he plays. I've never seen anybody play like that. So I play very decent. I played very decent carom, and then because I saw him play, and we used to play at home
Obviously,
and
yeah.
all that. And but it never occurred to me, like when I hear of your journey as a carom player, it never occurred to me that these are also options in carom.
So when you start off, it was never an option to make a career or something, but then you just love the game.
Right.
And you enjoy playing it. You find what now we can say I find peace out of the game. It is kind of a fuel for me today also. When I sit today, easily sit for.
It's like riyaz for you. It's like
It's
like
like
prayer.
meditation. I
like-
forget everything. Whenever I play today also, I just forget everything automatically. So when I sit to play alone also, I easily play for 4 hours easily alone.
Alone.
And because I have to play alone. My daughters and wife they deny to play with me.
You have you're a national level player. Why will they play with you? So what has been the rigor for you? I mean, that once, like, let's come to college and you started playing carom. So tell me about that journey.
So when I started playing tournaments, I realized that there's a lot of gap. So although I would always feel that I was a good player and a natural player, in the tournaments it's a different ball game. And Mumbai particularly has immense competition. Immense in the sense, I have seen a world champion winning internationally, basically someone winning a world championship today, and in a week's time, he loses a match in Mumbai in the second round, first round, second round. I've seen that. There must be around 100 players in Mumbai itself who would defeat a world champion at any given point in time. So that is a kind of competition in Mumbai. So in that, it was like a realization in the first tournament that I am nowhere. So then the preparation started. Then I used to play for 10-12 hours alone easily that time. That was a kind of practice. Then I found a group who was good players in my group. Niranjan Nimkar, who represented India in the US Open Carrom, and he won the Chhatrapati Award, Shiva Chhatrapati Award. Then there were other couple of people.
Like, can you name them?
Suhas Wakankar, Kiran Soman. Then we had, particularly in Mahagiri, I used to go to a club who was run by one Mukhtar Bhai. And he took so much care of us. It is beyond imagination.
Mahagiri is where? Kurla?
Mahagiri is Thane.
Thane. Where?
So where I stayed, I stayed in
I
the
know.
Mahagiri area. When I shifted to Thane, I stayed. And the club was right next to my residence, which I was not knowing. So therefore I was playing alone. Then when I got to know, I started going there.
So this Mukhtar Bhai used to run that club.
Yeah, he was the owner of he's still there. He still takes care of us. So it was kind of a normal club where typical clarion clubs, which we know. But the boards were new, and actually this is not like if somebody goes to Hindu Gymkhana, the players there you will find good players there. That it is not a case in Carrom. You will find best of the Carrom, even the world champions playing in these kind of clubs. So it's about the quality of the game rather than the ambience of the club in Carrom. So here today also there are good players in the same club. So Mukhtar Bhai has been encouraging players to perform at highest levels and providing.
Even today.
Even today.
And how old is he now?
Mukhtar Bhai would be around 60 now. In his
60.
60, yeah.
We should get him as a guest someday. I think
Yeah.
it would be fun to get him. Yeah.
So and I have my best friends as these Carrom friends, because we have spent so much time together, 4 hours a day for 10 years. One can, well, minimum 4 hours a day for 10 years. It is kind of. I started performing, but in this competition.
So it's we'll come to the performing. I'm saying so it's exactly like what say Tendulkar would do, right? If he has to play on the front foot, he'll play the same ball on the front foot like say 10,000 times,
Yeah.
So if you're playing like I've played a lot of carom, so I'm saying that then you have to keep on practicing that you want to do that cut.
So when I play alone for 12 hours, I'm saying I would practice all the shots. Accuracy, planning is there, but planning comes in later. When you are able to execute, only then you can plan. It's the opposite. If you are not able to execute well, your plan will fail all the time.
Right.
So for right execution, accuracy has to be developed. For developing the accuracy is the real challenge in Carrom, because one thing is that you play in practice without any pressure. That is different. When you are under pressure, that you have to take all the 9 coins, and even if you miss one, you lose the match. That is the pressure I'm talking about, and in that pressure there should be accuracy.
Right.
And then the planning comes in. If you are able to, so my biggest situation in my life is, there was a situation when I was playing against Sanjay Mande, who had won national championship a month ago, and the situation was, I could see all the 10 coins I could pocket across the board. If I miss even one, Mande wins the match. And I took those 10 coins at that point in time, and then I won the match. That's how I won the match. So that is the pressure. Even if you miss one, there should not be any thought in the mind that you may miss one. If there is a thought, you will miss, definitely. So controlling that thought, and that comes out of practice possibly. Harder you practice, you need to be like a machine. So Sanjay Mande, he's a very good friend. So he always gives me examples of China. They train in table tennis so well that they take out emotion out of the player. They make them machines. Machine doesn't think. Machine just executes. That's how and it happens out of practice only. So that is the philosophy, overall philosophy of practice possibly.
I have played 2 games professionally. Okay, I mean, one was poker, which is a card game, and second is Scrabble. So I have played both these games. And in poker, because I have always been very good at maths, extremely good at maths. And poker is largely a dependent probability game. It's about dependent probability largely. And I used to play that, and I used to do very well. And there are 2 types of games. There is tournament game and there are cash games. And I used to do extremely well in tournaments. So these are different kind of games altogether. Cash is like you're playing every hand and you can win money or lose money. Tournaments is like what tournaments are. That you win money at the top 10% or 15% win. And the first obviously gets a lot of money. That's how it is. So tournament poker has to do extremely well. And I used to lose all that money in cash games. Because cash games is a completely different ball game. It's a completely different ball game. So this is what used to happen. But where I realized that somewhere for me, I used to know maths, but I was not using the rigor. I was not, and I understand it completely. Why I still am a crappy cash player is because I am not putting in the hours. I am not looking at lots of videos. I am not learning, and it seems like a very easy game. Poker is something which it seems like an extremely easy game. I think it takes a lot of time to master. It takes a lifetime to master it, and people don't realize that because the maths is very nuanced in that. So I'm not doing the nuanced maths, though I can do it, though I understand maths very well. I'm not doing the nuanced maths. So what's the use? That's what. But the other game which I played, which was Scrabble, and that is where I'm talking about rigor, and that's why I asked you that question. Is because I used to always love playing Scrabble. I mean, because I always thought मेरा अंग्रेजी बहुत अच्छा है, and then it was actually no. I mean, it's not like that because the grammar is. Once you start giving cat and all, you realize, boss, I'm doing so well in maths, but why am I not getting a call? Is because तुम्हारा अंग्रेजी में तो मार कर रहा है. And there are simple things which are grammar and. So that's not the point. I'm saying that. So I used to have that. So I used to play Scrabble, and I was a very good Scrabble player back then. And what used to happen is there used to be tournaments. Most people don't know, but there are national tournaments in Scrabble.
Okay.
Okay, so I've played that once, and and you need to know every two-letter word, three-letter word, four-letter word, five-letter word, six-letter word. You need to know how to play. If you have like five vowels,
Okay.
or if you sometimes you will get only vowels, right? You will get A, I, E, O, U. So now
You
you have
can't do
seven
much.
A, I, E, O, U, U on your rack, and you're like, what? Iska kya banao? But you can make them. Basically, there are words like that which you can be made with them. You need to strategize in terms of how and what to do. So I never did all that. I used to know. I used
You
to
are
play
more
a
of a
very
natural player.
natural player. That's what I'm saying. Natural player ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है.
I know.
There is talent.
Yeah.
I agree entirely. There is talent, but everybody is working hard. So I'm saying that I used to do this two letters and the three letters I had all bahated. I had all ratta mara है. Four letters से मैंने छोड़ दिया है सब. So now I'm telling you how it works because I think you will relate to this. Is that in the nationals that I played once, there were 16 rounds. Okay, and in
Yeah.
the 15th round, I was playing this player, and I was 15th or 14th in that thing, and I beat that guy, and I was suddenly ninth.
Ninth. Oh, yeah.
Okay, and was keeping on going out,
Understood.
in, out, ninth, ninth.
16,
ninth,
9, 5th.
fifth. नहीं, fifth नहीं गया कभी. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So the moment I was in the ninth, now I'm dealing with a completely different set
4
of
letter,
players.
5 letter people.
Right, 4 letter, 5 letter, 7 letter. It is not an 8 letter. So it's a completely different set of players that you're playing with, and that is when you realize, boss, अगर तेरे को, if you are seriously interested and you want to become a serious Scrabble player, you are nowhere even close right now. This is
Yeah.
going to take you 3 years. That is why I quit Scrabble, because I said, boss, ये 3 साल
Correct.
डालने का नहीं है इसमें. So it was like that, and once I was ninth, and if the tournament had ended there, I would have been ninth in the nationals. But the tournament didn't end there. There was still one more round. So I played that guy, and that guy walloped my ass. I mean, he just beat the shit out of me, and then I was dom karke, because it's also about what gap someone beats you by.
Yeah.
So I was suddenly like thrown to like 15 or 16. I remember.
Realization.
Yeah, out of 200 players, the 200 players played the nationals then. And they were regular. Out of them, almost 100 players are very regular players. They have clubs and all that. I don't know what it's now. I'm talking in the 2000s, in around 99, 2000. So before I went to FTI, I think. So that is when it was. So the rigor of the game, of any
Yeah.
game, I think is this, like what you're talking about.
Correct.
Is मैं 4 घंटा बैठा है और मैं एक shot मार रहा है. It's like, because there's that one mistake, you don't have a choice. I put that one wrong word, he's going to make a 7-lettered word. Because that is strategy. That is how, I mean, that's also
It's
in
like
chess
Muhammad
and-
Ali saying, I count my squats only after it starts spinning.
Right. That's a superb line. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like, similarly in Carrom, there were 2 segments, tournaments and betting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I could relate with what you're
Oh,
saying.
really? I didn't know this. So please
And
tell me.
between the two, irrespective of the level of the game, the betting people could not perform in tournaments, and tournament people could not perform in bettings. These were two different ball games altogether. So I never played betting because I could not. There was no way I could not.
Wow.
And the betting ones, I know the players very well, but they could not ever perform in the tournaments.
And this is very true
Yeah.
even in poker. There are
I-
dedicated cash players. They don't do well in
Because
tournaments
they're
because it
used
needs a
to some
different rigor.
correct. They're used to some kind of a format, and like in tournament betting, you have a second chance because they keep on improving the
Right,
bets,
right.
increasing the bet. Tournament, you don't have a second chance. That's the
Right.
reason they don't sustain in tournaments, because that added pressure is there always, that you don't have a second chance here. At least in this tournament, whatever level of player you are.
And tournament players are slightly risk averse. That is
And they are professionals also in the sense of their practice. So betting players, there is a different way in which they practice. They would play only betting, and that's their practice. Tournament players have a different way of practice. So these are two different things totally.
Wow. I had no idea about this. That
But
it-
betting is not very large. Some bettings maybe, but still reasonably. So at least to the extent of the tournament first prize. So first prize would be $25,000. So there are bettings maybe of the similar amounts, kind of at various places. I mean, I don't know about earlier. Bettings used to be there more often. Recently I've not seen.
There's this film called Color of Money, I think. If I'm not mistaken, Paul Newman. That's what I think it is. If I'm not wrong about the film, and it's about hustling in pool or snooker or billiards. I don't know. I always get confused between the three
Yeah.
games, and it's about that, and it's about how people hustle you. They tell you that you're losing, and that's why you bet more.
Correct.
And because billiards and it's very similar to Carrom, I mean, if you look at it,
Yeah.
you have that red ball and white ball and whatever, So it is that kind of a thing. So, but let's get back to you and let's talk about what happened with your Carrom journey. That when you came in and you started practicing and you realized that it's not working out and I need to be more dedicated to my sport. So, somewhere isn't there a sportsman's DNA in you?
Yes, it is there because my uncle played kabaddi at the highest level. My father was a reasonable carom player. He did not never awareness was not there for him to participate in tournaments, but he was reasonably good in carom. So, and my mother was was an athlete actually. She was into walking. She had played.
She was also an athlete.
She was. My mother was an athlete. She had participated in at some state level in walking and all, and she was. I could realize it when I used to go to school. I used to run. She used to walk. Whenever she dropped me to school, I used to run and she used to walk. So that much for kilometers kind of. So from Lalbagh to Parel, it is kind of 2 to 3 kilometers maybe. So she used to walk full speed, and I used to run along with her.
Oh, she was that fast.
That fast, yeah.
Wow. You definitely have a sportsman's DNA. That's what I felt at
Yeah.
that point in time. So when I'm talking with you, and I realize that whatever you may say, that you were a gunda and you were this and you were that, but within you,
Yeah.
there is
So
a sportsman's
I
DNA.
played every sport. I played cricket, I played football, I played kabaddi, I played carom, I played snooker, I played table tennis. To a reasonable extent, fast learning you can call it. To a reasonable extent. Tennis also I play. Badminton I don't. I have not been able to pick up but other sports I've been playing at a reasonable level. Kind of. I've participated in TT tournaments, snooker tournaments, carom, kabaddi of course. So, cricket. I've been playing cricket also whenever I've got an opportunity. So it is. I thoroughly enjoy from my heart every sport. So that comes naturally, I guess. So from Lalbagh, it was all sports all around in the sense cricket here, football there, volleyball here.
Yeah.
So you get into each one of them. So table tennis and all I learnt later. I learned table tennis in Kurla actually. So for some time, learned in the sense it was not. There's no concept of coaching. It was whatever you learn by yourself is what you learn. There is no coach actually in any of this sport because at that point in time the coaching system was not there to that
Right.
except for cricket possibly. So cricket we used to play those MRI tennis ball cricket.
Right.
There was no question
MRI.
of any season ball cricket at that point in time. But yes, I enjoyed every sport always. And now my daughters are into badminton. So when you said the girl trained for 3 hours, I can relate with them because then I feel we are so as a journey. All of us in the family, they've decided they're aspiring to make a career out of sport, which is very difficult call for a parent. But not as difficult for me because I was into sport. But my wife is not from the sports background, but still she is the most passionate in the family about the sport. So she encourages them. She takes care of their time to time diet. They go on birthdays, but they don't eat cake. The kind of discipline they bring in. They wake up 24/7. They are available for training whenever they are called. So 4 o'clock in the morning, whenever. So because they want career in sports is the chances are a bit on a low or rather very low side. So in badminton, for example, Saina and Sindhu have made it their career, but there would be lakhs of other people who would have tried for it.
So it's both, right? It's also luck, discipline, and talent. That's what I feel. It's not only
Not luck, discipline and talent. Actually, more than talent would be 5% to my mind, according to me.
okay. You believe that too?
Yeah, I believe that.
Because I believe something slightly different. I believe that discipline is very, very important. But a lot of people have discipline. And then what the class differentiator is the talent. So because like we have, see, if there are 100 players, say 10,000 players in the country, 100 players have the discipline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, abhi 100 players में Saina or nikalna. So
I
that
will,
is where,
I've thought over this actually.
Okay.
I've thought over this. What I feel is 100 players है ना उनका discipline court पे होता है. Whenever there is a coach, they have discipline. But that commitment when you call it na on court commitment and off court commitment.
right.
So when that 99 players may have that on court commitment, but only one player will have that off court commitment. I think that off court commitment is a differentiator.
Wow.
24 by
wow,
7.
I never thought like this.
The game should be there. You may practice for 2 hours, but the game should be there in your mind 24 by 7 because only then you are able to that visualization effect is also there. I will give you an example here. I a very good friend of mine who is 3 times world champion, Yogesh Pardesi. He
In Carrom.
in Carrom.
Okay.
So he came from a very lean background and he struggled his way up to the top. So he would practice some 10 hours a day, and when he used to walk some 6 kilometers to his residence, he used to see carom board in front of him as a abstract thing, and then he used to analyze his game, whatever he played for 10 hours, where were the mistakes. So that introspection happened while he walked to his residence. That is called as off court commitment. So if somebody is able to do that, I think that is a differentiator.
That is the talent.
Some people are fortunate to have a coach like Gopichan, who is there always to push you into that off court commitment. But many times you may have to have it inside within you.
But I think I agree. I think I am seeing this from a completely different perspective. And I think off-court commitment is innate. It's inside you.
Inside, yes.
You cannot nobody can give you off-court commitment. मतलब कितना भी कोशिश करेगा, वो गोपीचंद हो कोई भी हो, they cannot give you. Like Leandro Pace, I think had the off-court commitment.
Yes.
That I could see it.
Yeah.
Every time I saw him on court.
You will see it in them because when you see those players, I have a lot of top carom players as very good friends. I have seen a few cricket players. I've observed them on television maybe. There is a similarity between a Dravid and a Yogesh Pardesi, and in their behavior, they would be always seem to be lost. If you see Dravid or Sachin, they normally seem to be lost. And a similar thing, any champion in any field will have a similar body language because they are lost in their off-court commitment. They are
Like
always
Vishwanathan Anand, he always seems lost.
because they are always into the game. He may be thinking of some match there, and when I discussed matches with Yogesh, we had long discussions on the phone. Also, we talk for hours. So he recites the 2-hour match.
Wow.
Sanjay Mande, he recites the entire match when we talk on the phone, or maybe we discuss analyze the match after the game. If he has lost, he has won, or what were the mistakes. They actually are able to recite the entire match, coin to coin, position to position.
Right. That is what happens in poker also.
Yeah.
So, they have to discuss every hand. How you reached up to that hand. And it's like you've played like 20 hands.
I think
you remember all the hands.
This part is more important than the on-court discipline. Because when everyone is pushed, everyone is disciplined normally. See, 4 बजे बुलाते हैं तो सभी बच्चे आ जाते हैं. They are उतना पैशन तो सब में है. Waking up at 4 o'clock and coming to it's not a big deal among those people who are already playing at some levels. The big deal is this one because there are many boring things which they have to do in life. Sacrifices, physical training, which is kind of boring. Somebody who is able to still put up to it remains. खेलना सबको अच्छा लगता है, उसके पीछे जो करना है वो that is something which is very important. That's why this guy said, Muhammad Ali, I count my squats when it starts paining. So after paining, you perform. Only then you are a champion. After it pains, you perform. Somebody plays the same level of game at the 10th hour when he's playing, where he's mentally and physically fatigued. That guy is a champion. Because his game doesn't change, or rather game improves.
So he's waiting for you to spend those 10 hours with him.
Yeah.
He knows that he's going to beat you from the 10th hour.
Correct.
He's not going to beat you earlier. Yeah. He knows that.
And because every player is at par otherwise, in terms of your execution skills, accuracy, your whatever skills you are talking about, I think there may be 100 players in Mumbai only who can win the world championship. I think, to evaluate, that's where I failed. I could give one of results. Okay, beating one player, India number one, state number one, but that uh, performance is a series of results. It is not one result here, one result there. It should be consistent.
Wow. No, it's that's an amazing perspective. I just want to know now that how did it pan out for you? So like you were moved from Khalsa to Thana College, and from here you said, boss, this kabaddi thing is not working for me. And
So
but
I did
that's
not
what.
stop kabaddi actually. I continued with kabaddi, whatever level it was going, but I also got into Carrom, and I started. It was not a conscious call कि Carrom पे focus करो. It automatically happened.
No, but what I'm saying is that this is where what I'm talking about is a sportsman DNA, because even when like you said kabaddi nahi ho raha hai theek se, okay, you didn't go and just sit at home or started doing something else. You took up another game,
Yeah.
you know. So this is what happens with when we have the sportsman's DNA and you
Yeah.
still have time when you're
Correct.
16.
So it was between 1 and 2. Earlier
Yeah.
kabaddi was 1, Carrom was there as a 2.
Yeah.
So I thought कि Carrom this is a good atmosphere, in the sense there are good players, good opportunity to scale up, or so then I started spending more time on Carrom after that. So all the time whatever I had, either I would be at home, college, or club. These were the only 3 places I would be at that point in time.
So you started playing Carrom more seriously, like
Yeah.
how many hours a day? I mean, like just give me the rigor of.
Correct. So when
from-
I-
let's
when-
let's talk about your journey from Thana College where you took up Carrom and how kabaddi started probably going in the background slowly.
Yeah.
So just let's take it from there to where you were. I think what happened from there.
So when I played the first tournament, I saw the biggies of Carrom, really legends of Carrom. I saw them live. Naksin Itambe, Mahendra Tambe, Arun Kedar. And I was thinking, "Arre, where am I?" In the sense, it was sudden realization that these guys are 100 times better than me. Matlab, how do I catch up? Or how do I improve? Matlab, you can't think of this kind of a game. They were playing at those levels. So then I started playing. I used to practice some 10 hours, 12 hours a day alone that point in time, because I did not have a club. I had a board at home, and I used to practice alone. I used to be there on the board alone whenever I found time after college. So then I won the junior championship in Thane, the first junior championship in 1989. And at the prize distribution ceremony, I met my friend, who is my best friend today, Niranjan Nimkar, who had won the men's title, and I won the junior. So since then I asked him whether there is a club. So he took me to the club, and then that's how it started, this Mahagiri club. He took me to Mukhtar Bhai, and it was not a normal the elite clubs kind of. Whoever loses the game pays whatever amount. Today it is 20 rupees. That time it must have been 5 rupees possibly. And whoever wins doesn't pay anything. He plays the game for free. That is a normal practice in all the clubs where all the good players play.
Wow.
So it was kind of not a very costly affair. Also, we had good people in our group. So we used to be restricted to our group only, who were reasonably good players at my levels or above, possibly. So junior championships I won thrice, and so I was kind of unbeatable in the district that time in the juniors. So I did not lose a match in juniors in the
For how many
2
years?
years. 2 years. So I was 16 already when I shifted. Until 18 I played juniors, and transition was difficult from juniors to seniors, because seniors there were giants. To cope up with that transition I took some 5 years. Little late, but in the hindsight I know the reason now why it happened. The off-court commitment was not there as much, because time pass hota tha kabhi kabhi. So this Niranjan Nimkar is one person who would, in the last 30 years, I have not seen him doing time pass in Carrom. Even today he's not playing tournament, but whenever sits to play, he's very focused and serious. He doesn't.
Like prayer. I mean, it's
It's a prayer. And I try to play it more seriously today, but abhi time nahi milta. But that point in time, I could have done better if I had maybe more committed or more focused kind of. So that's a learning which I always tell my kids ki ये mistake मैंने किया. So therefore those one-off results, the reason for those one-off results is कभी कभी गेम पीक में चला जाता है तब मैं रिजल्ट देता हूँ, बट हमेशा क्यों नहीं देता? वाई इट इज़ नॉट हैपनिंग ऑलवेज? वाई रिजल्ट्स आर नॉट कन्वर्टिंग इनटू परफॉर्मेंस इज बिकॉज आई एम नॉट practicing assuming that I am playing a match. See,
Right.
there are again those 199 players we were talking about. Those 100 players में 99 players in practice they play a different game because they are more free. There is less amount of pressure, and in the match suddenly there is pressure, so you are more conservative maybe, or you are more cautious, and you are not used to playing in that cautious situation. You are not cautious while you are practicing, and you are cautious while you are playing a real match. So the lesson is you create that pressure yourself in the practice itself, and then play a cautious match in the practice so that there is no gap between your performance in practice and tournaments. 99% of the times the player there is a gap, and 1% जो gap नहीं होता he is a champion. That is my observation or learning possibly from life.
No, but that is, I think, extremely true. There's this show on Netflix about this woman chess player who beats everybody. I don't know whether you've seen that
No,
show.
I have not.
You should see that. I don't know. Now, when I'm sitting around, normally I'm like always throwing out names of shows, and then today it's just not a Queen's Tale or something. I don't know. So it's something like this. It's a 6-episode miniseries, and it's about this woman who is trying to make it in the man's world in chess. And you can see it that when she's sleeping on the bed and she looks up and she can see the chessboard.
That is
it. She can see the chessboard, and all those pieces are moving in her head. So they're moving there. When they're moving in her head, they're moving on the ceiling along with it. And yeah, that is how, and that is the kind of obsession that you need, I think, to be a champion. Otherwise,
Correct.
you can never be a champion.
You need to be passionate is a little milder word, I would say.
Right.
Obsession is the right word.
Right. Oh, passionate is right. That's such a beautiful thing to say. Yeah. Obsession is the right word, actually. Yeah, you have to be obsessed with it. So, did you start? When is it that you felt that you started seeing the Carrom board when you were walking?
Unfortunately, I did not. To be very honest, I would have hardly seen it, particularly when I lost a match because of some small error. So I have had sleepless nights when I would miss a coin and lose a match. Entire night I would see the board. But I think that should have happened always. That never happened with me. Whenever I made a mistake and which cost me heavily, I would see it. But it should happen always. The learning has to be continuous learning. It cannot be in
Staccato.
It cannot be like that. Whenever only when it matters. ऐसा नहीं चाहिए. So it should be like every match, whether you win or lose, you still introspect by having the situation in front of you after the match possibly, and that is the analysis which builds in that rigor. I missed these 2 coins. How can I do that? So next time नहीं होना चाहिए. अगर वो नहीं होता है ना, तो next time you are okay with the mistakes until you are winning. And suddenly what happens is those mistakes cost you the game when a good player comes in front as an opponent. So what I have learned, so Sanjay Mande, for example, if he plays against a 3-year-old baby, he will still not miss a coin. That's a discipline. That's the principle. So missing a coin is not an option. So many players, as far as I am winning, I am okay. That is not. Otherwise, that improvement doesn't happen. If you are okay committing mistakes and still winning, you are not going to be a champion.
Unless that mistake is more of a strategy, then...
strategy, fine. But then उसमें से भी learning आता है. When you say कि mistake strategy में था, तो then the strategy is not working. And it is all situational actually. There are so many situations every 10 seconds. The 10 seconds is the time for taking one coin. In 10 seconds, we have to plan for all the 10 coins.
Right.
And also plan for opponent to block the opponent while you're playing. So in 10 seconds is a very short time for decision making actually. But by format you're used to, you become used to it with practice of the matches. So
So give me a timeline of your journey. Like this is what happened after
So
the districts and you started going to the
so this happened
the senior
exactly
level.
in 1990. I crossed my juniors, and seniors, it was not one of results were there. So possibly if I had beaten all these players, one of results into one tournament, I would have won a state tournament at least, and I would have maybe nationals also I would have performed. But that it doesn't did not happen that way. It was one of results in every other tournament. Then it was there was no consistency. That it was happening that way continuously for say 5 years. After 5 years, I gave produced these big results like India number one or Maharashtra number one. But then after that, I was already into my MBA. So you were 94 to 96.
Yeah, we were together.
This was in 95.
Yeah.
So and obviously practically heart was there in Carrom. But if you see the practical thing, the performance was not coming out as expected. In the sense, it was not it cannot be called as a performance. It was more of results. And
Right.
and there was lot of uncertainty in the career in Carrom. And there was career wise also how much I can go, whether I will get a job also. I was There was uncertainty around that, and I had to work as a for the family. Uh,
So what was your family situation?
my parents were working at that point in time, both of them, but they would have retired at some point in time. So my father would have retired into early 2000s, and my mother after 5 years after, so around 2005 she would have also retired. So this was in 95 96. So it was having I would not want to end up in a situation where I am not in a job and no one is in a job.
What was your rank at that point in Carrom, on the national rank?
National, so national always remained a dream. So that is what I wanted to reveal. So one surprising thing, after beating India number one, I have not been able to play nationals in my career, and that is always remained a dream. Matlab, I would have dreamt of performing at the national, but
So what is it like? I mean, can you just give us a sense of
So
how
for
does
playing,
one get
so
into the
playing
so
an-
like you are I'll just come to this in the sense that if you are from 18 you started playing, so what levels are you playing at and how you reach the nationals? So you never played in the nationals,
no,
but you just kept on beating this random player, matlab these top level players,
Correct.
one off all the
Correct.
time.
Correct.
That's what.
So only 6 top players in the state qualify for the nationals. Okay.
Okay.
And so the game level has to be at the level of the world champion when a player from Maharashtra has to play the national. So he should be capable of beating and not one time, because every round wise you will have same capability of players in the state tournaments also. So I have reached the pre-quarter top 16 in the state until today. That is my maximum performance.
Top what? Top
16 in the
16
state.
in the state.
In Thane I was top 8 always, but that doesn't help in the nationals. So top 16 in the state, I should have been top 6 in the state.
Right.
I top 16 also, that was not on a regular basis. So performance was not coming, frankly, and one of results would not have helped. So that I think the reason was that rigor, which should have been at much higher levels than.
But you felt you had the game. I mean, you could
Yeah.
have been a top 6 or you could have been a national champion. You had the game, but you didn't have the rigor.
That in the hindsight I'm able to make that out, because at that point in time I was not able to realize. Frankly, I tried on the maybe the maturity at that point in time, or when I see it in the hindsight, I realized this was missing. The maybe off court commitment or rigor or focus or the concentration levels throughout the practice. I may be concentrating for some time in the practice, then so all those things were there. And during studies, I used to quit Carrom actually, in the sense from every February, every year, for 2 months I used to quit Carrom, because studies I would not have been able to cope up with studies otherwise. Although it was BCom, I never attended any lectures in college, so it was all self study, and then 1 month, 2 month gap was a must.
So I feel that is where you lost actually your, no?
But अभी कैसा है कि it's the system is such. अभी now my daughters are also facing that problem, but thankfully Singhania school is supporting them. But they have to study also. They are not they cannot attend lectures. They have to self study also and have this rigor of training for. उनका तो structured है. They have a structured training program. They spend some 6 hours a day. But at my point in time, studies का अपना in our country you can't keep away studies and do what you within that also with good focus. I think it could have been managed because my friend of mine, he's also educated, he is also at a good position in a bank, but he still managed to concentrate and do it. So हो सकता था but उस टाइम रियलाइज नहीं हुआ एंड किसी को भी रियलाइज नहीं हुआ. सो इफ समबडी वुड हैव गाइडेड आल्सो, तो there is no coaching kind of a system, so everything was on your own. So now that I'm realizing it, but at that point in time I did not realize it. I was only finding out, I was trying to find out what is going wrong, but I could not get the answer.
But all these names that we took, like you also took, like Saina and Leander and, you know, and whoever that we think, Vishwanathan Anand, where are the studies in? I mean,
so one interesting observation is whoever has achieved, I mean, Sachin Tendulkar is an exception because he quit studies early on because he performed at that point in time. But Dravid, I think Dravid is a graduate. RP Singh is an engineer. Anil Kumble is an engineer. Everyone was balancing out studies along. I think Sindhu is an MBA. She did MBA after her achievements or something. Saina is also has studied until graduation. So everyone has been able to manage it. It's a question of how much you can focus, how long you can focus, and how intensely you can focus on the game after balancing out everything.
look, I have a slightly different perspective, and you can help me in this. Is that what I feel is that we take age very seriously. You know, we take age very seriously and we take money very seriously. These are two things. So if like in your case, you know, like you can afford to take, because now you're very well off and whatever. So you can afford to take care of certain things. So for example, what big sky would fall on the heads if your daughters graduated at 28?
I believe in that today. But you're right. I believe in that today, and I just there was an incident when we were thinking when my elder daughter was in 10th standard. So we were thinking, what if she fails? My wife asked me this question. I said, एक साल बर्बाद हो जाएगा. वैसे भी MBA entrance में मेरा एक साल बर्बाद हो गया था. How did it make a difference? You know, so it's like it's about that perception कि नहीं, ये 10th मतलब अभी होना चाहिए.
बराबर.
So it is that perception today. But if someone has made up her mind कि उसको स्पोर्ट्स में करियर करना है, तो एकेडमिक्स का 1-2 साल बर्बाद हुआ तो इट्स ओके.
दो क्या, मैं बोल रहा हूँ 10 साल भी अगर बर्बाद हो गया.
If someone is convinced कि हाँ ठीक है, इससे बेनिफिट होने वाला है स्पोर्ट्स में, टुडे आई एम ओके विद दैट बिकॉज वी हैव टेकन दैट कॉल कि उनको करना है, उनका पैशन, एंड दे आर सीमिंगली ऑब्सेस्ड कि उनको करना ही है. दे आर सो मच कमिटेड, सो करने दो. हाउ डज इट मैटर? बट अभी कैसा है, सिंस इट इज दे आर एबल टू मैनेज इट, इट इज गोइंग ऑन. बिकॉज क्या है, कैरम कैसा मैं 12 घंटा खेल सकता हूँ, बैडमिंटन 12 घंटा नहीं खेल सकते. They must have that on the back of
but
their
they still need to have it 24 hours on their mind, you know?
Yeah, mind पे
so
होना
that 24 hours on their mind is, then other things have to suffer. I mean, it's
correct.
I mean, it's just a point of view. See, I
can
make all these random judgments.
You are absolutely right in that. See the difference when we claim that we should have, China is having 100 medals in Olympics and India is not having with 125 crore population. First of all, somebody has to see how much of that population are into serious playing.
Right.
You don't assume that 125 crore people are seriously playing. Half of them are 99% of them are, or more than that, irrespective of the level of their kids game, they just decide कि तेरे को इंजीनियर बनना है. अभी 10वीं तक बहुत हो गया तेरा खेलना कूदना. Now it's enough. China doesn't see it that way. So therefore the medals automatic आसमान से नहीं गिरेंगे ना. They are so committed. They adopt the children for training them. So that system, unless that system comes in, the medals will not fall off from the sky, na.
Yeah.
So the system has to, maybe something can be introduced into education. Do a specialization into sport and graduate from them. Then you keep playing and have a single focused mind. Then only the medals will
Yeah,
come.
you can be a graduate in sports, for example.
Yeah,
Like, for
absolutely.
example, when I graduated. I've studied so much in my life. I've done an ICWA, then I've done an MBA, then I went to FTI, then I went to Paris. I've studied a lot in my life. And eventually, like, when I did an ICWA and an MBA, MBA is like most all MBAs across the country, across the world.
Generic.
जेनरिक होगा ना. अगर तुम 15 दिन में मतलब 40 सब्जेक्ट सिखाएगा किसी को भी, 40 electives or whatever they used to call it, what are you going to learn? I mean, what kind of depth are you going to have? You're always going to be shallow.
Yeah.
So it's just about a brand, that if you are at an IIM or if you are at Bajaj, XLRI or FMS
Correct.
or whatever these kind of institutes are, you will get a certain kind of company to come there. And then you're going to be a cog in the wheel in that company.
Absolutely.
But to become a Ajim Premji, to become a Mark Zuckerberg or whatever else that these people look up to, you don't really need to go to business school. You need to just have balls, and luck and hard work.
That's
and
I think that's
persistence.
what Bill Gates is dropped out from one
Yeah.
Ivy League school. Then I think Ambani's have also decided to go for. Bill Gates has decided.
Ambani's, I don't take that seriously.
Maybe Bill Gates has taken that call.
No,
that
because
he-
these guys came from scratch. I'm not
Yeah.
talking. Ambani's, I mean, is that if Ambani's, Akash Ambani and whatever, if they're not going to school, boss, baap ke paas bahut paisa hai, so that is not the point here. But people who start from scratch,
Yeah.
I think that doesn't matter, what is, because I can talk about my own, because I have a friend who started off with us and I wanted to get him on the show someday, and he's like in 15-20 years, he had a 500 crore company. Extremely smart guy, and like 200 square feet ghar mein rehta tha, and then from there he started off. I mean, how many people
Correct.
do we know like that from whatever business school in this country?
Right.
So I mean, it doesn't matter. That has been my view about
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
It's about courage. It's about balls.
And you see relevance of education also. So we have learnt history, geography by heart. We have learnt science. मतलब उसका कोई application real life में there is no application at all. So and it is so in depth. So I pity my kids, frankly. They have to do so much, or any kid I pity for that matter, because they have to do something else in life and they are studying this voluminous stuff day and night and still managing their passion. So I think it is
Particularly in the case of your kids, I
Yeah.
think that matters more. Other kids, I don't know, but in your kids, because they have this fixed amount of energy,
yeah.
and all that energy, if they want to be a Saina or whoever that they want to
So
be,
I'll
or
give
a
you an
Bindu,
example. So it affects in a
or a
way.
Sindhu, sorry.
I'll give an example. So whatever they train for 6 hours, but recovery time is also required for them to train again for 6 hours the next day. And that recovery time is taken up by, if they don't recover, they are prone for injuries. And I think that's the reason why Indian athletes are, possibly my evaluation, are injury prone. Because they cannot give themselves sufficient time for recovery, possibly. Because there are too many things to do in life.
Yeah, and like I think what the rigor would be, like as a poker player, I can tell you, like I know other poker players who are successful, is that if you are watching, like if you are playing for like say 6 hours, then there are poker players who will go home and watch poker videos.
Yes.
On WSOP, on World Series of Poker, and there are these big players and they'll analyze
Correct.
hands, and somebody will be telling you what's going on in that guy's head, what is the maths of it, and what is
Correct.
the range of the maths that is being played, and how. I mean, it may seem like just a card game, कि 2 cards है 5 card खुला. It's not that. It's about the maths which is being analyzed in your head, my head, how you are thinking, how I am thinking, what is the bet telling me, what is the sizing of that bet. There are like 20 different
Correct.
parameters, 20 different things that to be judged here, before you do that, and you may all go wrong at the end of it, after judging all that.
Correct.
So it all comes down to probability.
So training part or match part is one part, but introspection and reflection is another part, which is suffering because of your other occupation possibly. So training and matches happen, so you are fully 100% there, but introspection, reflection, learnings happen later, we suffer because of other stuff in life.
So let's get back to this where you are now playing matches. Okay, and you are in that one key match when we are both of us are at Bajaj, and I didn't know all this when I was in Bajaj.
Wow.
I came to know only when, probably because we never talked, and I don't know what I was doing there. Even today, I wonder what I did till I was 26. But I'm saying that it's when we were studying at doing our MBA together, and you told me this story where you had gone for a tournament. And that story. I mean, it's something which I think it's a telling story on how difficult it is to take decisions.
Yeah, so actually, there was a state ranking tournament in Mulund, where someone named a very senior player, Aslam Chikte, was the top seed. So his name comes first in the draw because he had won the earlier state tournament, and we were meeting in the second round. So I won against him in straight two games, best of three. And in the next round, I had one reasonably good player, and the time of the match was a little overlapping with our exams in the college, Bajaj. So we had some semester exams or
But
something.
that player, just day before that, you had beaten somebody who was India number one or something, right?
3 months back before that. 3 months before that, I beat India number one. This was in December, I remember. And here in this tournament, I beat Maharashtra number one.
Okay.
And in the state tournament, Maharashtra state tournament.
Maharashtra state tournament, you beat Maharashtra number
Yeah,
one.
the top seed I beat.
So you were at peak form in a way,
Yeah.
right?
I was playing reasonably well, yes.
Because if you have beat the India number one about 3 months back, and now
Yeah.
you're beating the Maharashtra state.
Correct.
So you
I
were
was
at peak form.
I was in my peak that time. I had peaked out after a long time, after maybe 4 or 5 years. I peaked out, but because these level players I had not beaten earlier. Maybe middle level players I had beaten earlier, but these levels were like too much. So this when Sanjay Mande became India number one, he beat the only Arjuna Award player in the finals over in the south, Maria Irudayam, and he had beat him very convincingly, 25-4, 25-5.
Wow.
And he was in immense form, and I won against him in a very I can't believe that nobody could believe that I won that match, because in the third set I was lagging 20, he was 20, I was 4, and I turned around the match, and in the last board I finished off with 10 coins, and he's all 9
Were on the
on the board. So I was 13, he was 20, and I made 13 plus 12,
12,
25.
25.
So that was a, and here in so when I was playing in Mulund in the third round, my match timings clashed with the exams, and I'm telling you one thing, the discipline which Carrom game has in the tournaments, I'm not seen in any other game. A minute of delay will cost a world champion also his match. It is that time bound. So schedule is drawn maybe 3-4 days before the match, and it is followed to the T. So I went for a match. I had to finish the match. The target was to finish it in 45 minutes. But unfortunately, I lost the first set. So in the second set, the scores were equal, 5-all, and my time was off. I could not have continued the match. So then I quit the match, surrendered the match, and then I traveled through train. And I was crying in the train. So people were watching, hey, itna bada ladka, he's crying in the train. But I knew what I had given up. So it was kind of an exit from the game mentally. ठीक है, मैं continue करूँगा, but this is now the fact of life possibly. When you decide, when priority list में Carrom second आएगा अभी. So that thought itself made me cry kind of. So that's how it was. I still continued to play the tournament, but the rigor was lost in the tension of the maybe or more time towards MBA than the tension of placements and job. And so Carrom was lost. I still play all the tournaments today also, but performance nahi. There is no performance. I play for the pleasure part of it. I enjoy every match. That's about it.
So when you did this, and when you were taking that, when this was time was running out, so I look at it like there is this, that is your principle, that is that place where you made that choice about
Yeah.
यार क्या करना क्या है अभी आगे लाइफ में, बिकॉज इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स इट्स दैट पॉइंट वेर यू से कि अभी क्या करना है, अभी यार एमबीए करके जॉब करके यार फैमिली के लिए या जो भी है, अगर है भी नहीं है बट खुद के भी एंगल से
Yeah.
वन थिंग्स एंड सेज दैट ओके दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट टू डू,
Hmm.
so what was going on, if you can, I mean I'm coming to this question again, but
Sure,
I'm saying
sure,
that
sure.
what was going on when you were playing that match. Now look, you are sitting there and you know that I won't complete this match because
Actually,
you have to finish.
if you ask me, if I had played it naturally, if the exams were not there, the kind of form in which I was, I could have finished it in 45 minutes. The thought that I need to finish it in 45 minutes added the pressure. If I had played the natural game, maybe that is the reason. I'm not finding reason, but I think that is. Uh, I could not play in the same at the same level in that match. So then, accepted, but that thought would have made a difference. If you want to finish a match fast, and सामने वाला player भी तो he was also good player, तो ऐसा वो easy देने वाला नहीं है. You need to be natural in that match. मतलब you can't have any preconceived notions in your mind while you're playing. So otherwise, your normally a person performs more in the subconscious. Conscious अगर तुम्हारा live रहा तो it is impossible to perform, because then the thoughts come in result. मैं ये coin miss करूँगा तो हार जाऊँगा, वो सब thoughts के साथ कोई perform नहीं कर सकता. When the subconscious is on, you forget everything else. You just focus on the process. Ki 1, 2, 3. This is, I have to take this accurately. Positivity works. The moment conscious mind opens or is awake, so the negative thoughts come in fast. अरे ये नहीं गया. What if I am not able to execute this? I think that's the differentiator.
And how has life been since that decision? Because you cried in the train. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like.
Life ठीक है, मतलब actually life was, until acceptance, life was a mess, in the sense you always keep on thinking the same thing, but बाद में accept हो जाता है somehow. You tend to accept things, reality in life. See क्या है कि it was my fault also कि I gave myself 5 years to settle or perform in the open men's singles, but I could not do it. It was acceptance of the fact. Had I performed in the first 3 years, ये सिचुएशन नहीं आता, MBA करने का सिचुएशन भी नहीं आता, शायद मैं कोई ऊपर के लेवल पे परफॉर्म करके इंटरनेशनल खेलता होता तो शायद आई वुड नॉट कम दिस वे एट ऑल. बट परफॉर्म कैसा है कि सचिन, पीपल से सचिन 11th के बाद पढ़ा नहीं है, बट एक्चुअली इट इज़ अ कॉन्शियस कॉल. भाई 15 साल की उम्र में ही वो सियालकोट में जाके पाकिस्तान को दबाता है, तो देन ही सीन, ही इज़ अ फिगर नाउ. तो उसके बाद इट इज़ अ वेरी इजी डिसीजन टू मेक. इन माई केस वैसा नहीं था. आई हैड नॉट परफॉर्म टू द लेवल आई शुड हैव परफॉर्म्ड टू डिसाइड कि मेरे को करियर करना है. बिकॉज एंड थिंग्स आर सो अनसर्टन, एज आई टोल्ड यू, देयर विल बी hundreds of players like me in Maharashtra. So how do I decide at that point in time? I may produce one of result today also, but it doesn't matter.
No, but what I think, I mean, in this, from a completely outside perspective, is that you were peaking after 5 years.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
you said that this is my 5 years and this is how I'm going to do it. But that is not how life works.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I have made a film, and I made a film in 2007 called Rewind. And it has done extremely well around the world. I mean, it went to Locarno, it went
I heard
everywhere, and
about it,
nothing
yeah.
happened. And I'm telling you, I mean, I got offers to make feature films from a lot of producers in India per se, but it was like, they were not the kind of like, the Shah Rukh
not
Khan and
your
everybody's
stuff,
not
not your
banging down
stuff.
my door. No, it's not that. It's just that I made my feature film also because of that, because Kunal Kohli saw Rewind and all that, and that is how I made the film. So that I like I made Vartak Nagar. But that's not my point here. I'm saying that it's just about nothing happened. And about 6 months back, the film has been taken over, and it has been on iTunes, it has been everywhere, and nothing has happened, like for what, 12, 13 years. And 6 months back, that film has been taken by a platform called Omleto in the US. I don't know where that, but it's a very big international platform. It's the biggest short film platform in the world. And the moment your film goes up on that platform, you don't know who's seeing this film.
Yeah.
You don't know whether Spielberg is seeing this film, or a Nolan is seeing this film, or a Wes Anderson is seeing this film, and directors that you really look up to.
Yeah.
You know, इससे पहले नहीं होता. So if I had said कि बस मेरे को 2010 तक ही करना है, then it's not, or 2019 तक ही
I
करना है.
agree
But
with you. Yes.
but that Ombleto thing came in 2021. Where that film is actually on a platform, and I don't know when people will see it or not see it at all, because it is on an internet. It might still not fly because it has never flown like that before, like it is flying now. And I'm saying that, but it has taken me 14 years, and that's my favorite film. I have always felt that I'll never make a film better than Rewind, because it's form and it did so much success. But I'm saying it, nobody valued it in India, and nobody valued it. Abroad also. If I have to look at it, I had one offer from some Hollywood producer, but that was when I was in Switzerland, and long time back. But I'm saying that uske baad to kuch nahi hua. But now suddenly some big platform is now it's playing on that big platform, and the world is opened up to see it. There's always a chance that someone somewhere in the world, some assistant director might see it and show it to somebody, and nothing might happen. But that audience which I thought that was, it's a filmmaker's film, and that audience might see the film. I think this is what is probably missing in your thing.
I agree on that. I agree with you, because it's not that I stopped playing Carrom totally. I still participated in tournament, but rigor, which was not at par that time also, totally came down after this acceptance. When you accept something, so rigor automatically. So I participated. I produced some results, but वो रिगर चला गया. मतलब गेम का क्वालिटी भी ऑटोमेटिकली नीचे आने का, प्रैक्टिस पुल डाउन, तो ऑटोमेटिकली द मोमेंट एक्सेप्टेंस क्रीप्ट इन, एवरीथिंग automatically started. It was kind of acceptance to play for pleasure, nothing more, hobby, nothing more than that possibly. So वो automatically that had seeped in. So then it kind of stopped in the sense, not in the real sense, but performance. So totally there was no performance after that.
So I think we got this, and but I have this. What has Carrom taught you? I mean, like, you have given your whole life for Carrom in a way. And you're not a successful Carrom player the way you looked at it, but you could have been. Like even today, if you look back at your life, and I look at it right now because I didn't know this story, and I'm saying that if you had not taken that some crappy Jamnalal Bajaj exam seriously, and you had understood, because it's also, sometimes, it takes time to understand rigor. It's not only about developing rigor. It also takes time to understand, boss, this is the amount of effort that I need to put in. That
understanding was lagging.
But that understanding does not necessarily need to come when you're 18 or 16. It can come at 24.
24 also.
And when you quit at 23 and that rigor comes, because sometimes you say, okay, this is what is needed.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, there is another way to look at it also. When you decide your passion against a very lucrative thing, that rigor may go up.
Right.
No, that is the other side. Maybe I did not consider that other side. I should have, in the hindsight, yes, I could have considered that. क्योंकि वो हमेशा always there is one thing in the mind कि I could, but nevertheless, Carrom has given me a lot, in the sense I was not a person to sit patiently. Patience is one thing. To do anything with patience. Sit for, I could, because of Carrom, I could sit for 12 hours if required for studies. Then discipline. Whatever I decided to do, I could, anyway, in my profession also, I could do it with discipline. Carrom also, whenever I was playing also, when I decided not to play Carrom during exams, I would not play. The temptation I could control. So all these ups and downs very, very regularly, playing under pressure. So once I would win the next match in any rounds, next round I would lose, and then I would have sleepless nights. So I think that is a very that is an experience which keeps you grounded, humbled. You are not at the top of the thing always, because competition is such that you can't be at the top. And even the world champion today cannot say that he's on the top, because in the next match anything can happen. So that is the situation, and that situation went on for 10 years almost. So which is kind of very humbling experience. You cannot fly off the ground. You need to remember your roots always. The concentration levels, concentrating for long hours. You don't get mentally fatigued easily. That helped in the profession, of course. And biggest advantage, I think, I am able to understand my daughters better. I think nothing bigger than that. I can understand their passion, their obsession.
And not make the same mistakes that you made.
I always tell them that they should learn from my mistakes, because this is a major one where off-court commitment or rigor was not at par. I think they can learn from that, or anyone, any other player can learn from that. You need to put in your 200%. Okay, sports में career is not, especially in India, is not is much difficult than any other profession, any other whatever vocation. Because in the last so many years, lakhs of players would have played badminton, for example, or cricket. There are 0.001% who can succeed and make a career to those levels. So you need to be really up there, performing, continuously producing results under the pressure that you may fail, and that should be very consistent.
I'll tell you what my view on passion is, because I have like I
Yeah.
used to
You have
work-
demonstrated passion actually in the real sense.
I don't know. I've
Take it as a
demonstrated
compliment, yeah.
passion. I'll take it as a compliment. That's the point. I mean, thank you very much. But I'm saying I have no idea about this, the way, because I'm not a sportsman. I'm a filmmaker.
It's not about passion. It's not about sports. It's about anything you are passionate about or anything you are obsessed
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
These tough calls are impossible. Well, in the sense, this kind of calls where you have a lucrative job and then you decide you will go with your passion is not it. I think it's
Because there is a difference. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I'll tell you what happened. That when I was in Bajaj, I was not interested in that course. I was not interested in the sense that I've always been very, like, I could get in because I was good at whatever I was. I knew how to crack that exam. I was very good at GD interviews. So I got in. What's up, ho gaya? Once I got in, I was like, ye kya hai? Why am I here? It has always happened with me. So the whole thing is about whether when you're saying that, okay, it's a lucrative job, because my first job was somewhere, and then I ended up in ABN AMRO. That's another thing. With ABN AMRO Investment Bank, which I'm sure was one of the top 10
of the
jobs
top
in the country that day. It was a foreign bank. Within 2 years, I would have been in Singapore, and it was like that. So it was the top 10 job in the country by any standard. I was sure of that.
Right.
But the way you're saying it, that you leave a lucrative job, boss, it was never a lucrative job for me. So I was like, I was there and I had a bad boss or whatever, but that's okay. Everybody has a bad boss.
Yeah.
So that was not the thing. It was like, I didn't want to do this. So the way I think my view of passion has been that if you can take money out of the equation, out of anything, that is when you can achieve your dreams. The moment you start analyzing it like this in terms of money and in terms of, boss, where I'll reach, and now I'm driving a car. I'll give you a simple example. I was in Delhi. I took that car loan, I think, which we talked about earlier. I had a car. I took a second-hand Maruti 800. And I bought that car, and I used to love that car because I couldn't imagine driving a car at 24 with my background and all that. And I'm driving a car in Delhi, and Delhi had lovely roads then, less traffic. And it was great fun to do it. So at 26, I don't want to get into the other story. When I quit and I said, look, I am going back to Bombay. The next day after I sold my car, I was in a DTC bus. Next day, मतलब मैंने गाड़ी बेचा और मैंने रिक्शा नहीं लिया. I just stood at a DTC bus stop. I took a bus. It's not that I had not taken a bus like two years back. 3 years back probably. Once you start working, you don't take buses, but it's not that. So for me, I realized, boss, ये अभी zero से start करने का है.
Correct.
So this whole idea that it's very important to take money out of the equation. And I'll give you another example of this is like, and it's a very, like I was, somebody had come to meet me from Bajaj, and he was my junior, and probably he also thought the same way you're thinking, अरे इसमें बहुत passion है, I don't know how much passion, but वो है तो वो किसी और को लेके आया था, who was working for ICICI, if I'm not mistaken, and this guy was like a friend, मतलब not very good friend, but was my junior in Bajaj, and he got somebody who was probably 3-4 years his junior, and he got him to my house all the way to Thana, and we were sitting in the inside room. And this guy is there, and he said, I am this. I was in JB, and now I'm in ICICI Bank, and I want to do. Actually, I want to compose music. So will you listen to my tunes? That was it, because I was directing by that time.
Okay.
I think Rewind Rewind was all released and all that. So people used to know about me. At least within Bajaj circles, people, probably some Bajaj circles, people knew. So that is वो सोच के वो लेके आया कि ये कुछ कर लेगा इसके लिए. And then we were talking, and then this guy suddenly said that, look, I work in, this is how I remember it, what my memory remembers it as. And he said, look, I have done this and all this, but now I'm making this 12, 15 lakhs, whatever I'm making here. So now if I start composing music, how much will I make?
Understood.
The moment he said
You
that,
can't think about the opportunity costs.
yeah, exactly. So the moment he said that, I lost all interest in the guy. मैंने उसका म्यूजिक ही नहीं सुना. And I was very rude, I think, and I'm really sorry if you're listening. Please meet me now. And I'll listen to your tunes. But I was like, this is the wrong way. You're not getting what it is about. It's very simple. And it's not that this guy or anybody does not understand this. Like, boss, मैं आज ICICI बैंक में क्रेडिट कार्ड बेच रहा हूँ, और कल मेरे को यार कॉर्पोरेट बैंकिंग करने का है. या मेरे को HLL में साबुन बेचने का है, या फिर मेरे को इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग करने का है ऑन वॉल स्ट्रीट. Let's take it like this. I am now selling credit cards in ICICI, and I want to be a bull trader, to a trader on Wall Street. Boss, you got to start again. You got to start all over
Absolutely.
again. You need to go to an Ivy League school. You need to do your MBA again, and that is how it's going to happen. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Correct.
And it's very simple to understand, and you already know this. When you are selling cards in ICICI, you know this. So how is it that you don't apply it to something which is your passion?
Yeah.
Because that is your insecurity talking, and you already know. Because मैं अगर आज जूता रिपेयर करता हूँ और मेरे को कल फर्नीचर बनाने का है, तो it's back to zero.
Correct.
It's a different skill set. It needs a different kind of talent. But I feel that this is a problem, not with you, with a lot of people who want to do something with their lives, which is different. Okay, and then they always think about in terms of money, and they say, "अरे यार, पैसे का कैसे होगा?" Was the moment you get in that, you have already screwed up any chance of ever getting there.
Yeah.
So for me it was like the moment I quit my job, I said like मैं DTC बस में आ गया, then मैं यहाँ आता था, मैं थाना तक चल के जाता था, because 6 months I was at home.
So only advantage with guys like us is we have seen that part also. So actually it is not, when you are getting back to the start, I could have also thought कि चलो बुरा मतलब क्या है, हम लोग ने जिया हुआ है, whatever worse has to happen, we have already lived that. So मतलब we can always, money is taken out, so money was never there.
Right. No, but there is that opportunity cost, no? Like if you're in Bajaj, if you're in an institute like Jamnalal Bajaj, there is obviously an opportunity cost. So there's a huge opportunity cost actually. I just imagine at 24 I'm driving a car. In my when I was 23, or even when I was in Bajaj, I didn't think at 24 I'll drive a car.
And it is even more difficult when you have already experienced that and you're coming back from there.
Yeah, but वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि people who come back don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
Agree. The moment because if you're looking at it that way, you're never going to succeed. That was my point here. And I said I became shameless. I took borrowed from friends. I did whatever, but I will not go back. Big mangega raste mein, but I'll not go back. I think that is probably the only difference. And I don't know whether it's rigor or whatever. we're just generally talking about this.
I think that is the difference between passion and obsession, as we are talking about it. It has to be obsession. Generally, passion एक level तक ही काम करता है. उसके आगे नहीं काम. That's what my observation
is. That's such a beautiful thing actually. This actually demonstrates, like with Saina and with Sindhu and all this.
So with obsession, your material mind will never work. That's what I feel.
Absolutely. Maybe. Perfect.
It is directly
so you
from
can actually heart. Now judge, and in this show we have actually arrived at something where we can now, where I think coaches all over the world can just figure out whether the kid or whether the talent that they have right now they're talking to, whether he's obsessed or he's just simply passionate. Because if he is
that's a differentiative.
If he or she is obsessed,
I'm telling you, there are many who have seen everyone who's playing the bigger tournaments, everyone is passionate because, and their families also, because it takes so much. एक tournament खेलना है तो there's so much of expenditure, so much of time spent. So everyone is passionate. equally. There is no difference, but there are some who are obsessed.
And the obsessed, I mean, that's what, like, the coach can look at his talent and just quietly see whether this
Yeah.
guy has taken the material out of
So
the equation or not.
I read one book, The Gold Mine Effect.
Okay.
So इसमें there are 6 gold mines in the world for various sports. Like Jamaica is for sprinting,
Athletics,
100
yeah.
meters. Kenya is for marathon.
Long marathons.
Then Brazil is for soccer. तो उसमें ऐसा है कि इट्स लाइक द कोच, जमाइका में जो कोच है ना, ही इज़ एन इंग्लिश टीचर और जोग्राफी टीचर सब, उसको कुछ एथलेटिक का लेना देना नहीं है, बट ही इज़ अ गुड कोच बिकॉज ही इज ऑब्सेस्ड विद द गेम एंड ही क्रिएटेड दिस चैम्पियंस and he's created an ambience for them and which is kind of a grinding ambience. They are put in a grind along with the Olympians also. Olympians run along with the new kids, they can look up to them and atmosphere तैयार किया उसने. कुछ कोचिंग मतलब अभी एथलेटिक्स में होगा टेक्निकल थिंग्स, बट दिस गाय इज नॉट अ टेक्निकल एक्सपर्ट. तो दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स लाइक ब्राज़ील में सॉकर इज अ सर्वाइवल थिंग. मतलब you play well or you die. There is no third option. The game is that important for them. So then therefore it is a gold mine because Brazil में से soccer players, it is a like cricket is a religion in India, but cricket India में there are other options also. To you study, you do this, if you're not a successful player. Brazil में वगैरह है, what book says कि soccer पे चलता है काफी, मतलब they thrive on soccer. तो वैसे केनिया में you can't lose against a white person. It is you can, मतलब तुम ओलंपिक विनर है और गोरे से हारा तो तुमको they will मतलब put क्या stone you to death. That rigor that वो आता है. So therefore these are gold mines. So India gold mine नहीं बन सकता because there's so many other things. मतलब there is no concentration. Coaches also can't concentrate because studies भी है, then there are other things. So Olympics में India को I don't know, there has to be a different system. Australian team for example, they have Australian Institute of Sports where they adopt people.
It's a culture. I mean,
it's a culture. They adopt people. Gilchrist, Ponting सभी उस Australian Institute of Sports से आया है. So that book says talent is only 5%. Talent only tells you whether this person can play or not. कहाँ तक जाएगा नहीं बोलता. ये खेल सकता है कि नहीं आज, उतना ही बोलेगा. अगर ये खेल सकता है तो उसका डिसिप्लिन से वो 95% कमा के ऊपर चला जाएगा. And there will lot of talent will be missed out in the middle. Sachin Tendulkar, Vinod Kambli.
Yeah.
Sachin Tendulkar is a result of discipline.
वो तो बाद में तो that is very true. But I also felt that the general cricketing fraternity then was extremely unfair to Kambli. I mean, in the beginning, because Kambli was as talented as Sachin when they started.
He scored those double tons back to back.
Three centuries back to back against 3 different countries on 3 different pitches. I mean, that's not something which even Tendulkar has done. But the point was for me was not that. And obviously, he never had he didn't have the discipline that Tendulkar had, obviously. I mean, that was very obvious in his later life. But the point is that I feel that Kambli like started off at 18 and Tendulkar started at 15. And there was...
They were together because when they made that record of 600 plus runs.
Yeah.
They were together. And Kambli, Ramakant Acharya sir always said Kambli was better than
Tendulkar. Yeah,
he will always maintain
that's what I'm saying. I felt that this whole cricketing world, because Tendulkar
Kambli got his breakthrough later.
He got his
18.
He got it at 18. That's what I'm saying. That there was no reason for Tendulkar to play first. If you just look at it from a sheer point of view of talent at that point in time, but Tendulkar was better connected. That is why how he got through. He had better mentors. All that happened. And that is how it happened actually, But that's okay. I mean, that's I think a part of the luck that you are born in, accident of birth and all that. वो सब तो है. But obviously, I mean, I felt it is obviously clear that I mean, Tendulkar had the discipline. I mean, Kambli the moment he hit became superstar. Pagal ho gaya wo. I'd love to have him someday on the show, and because he just lost it, I think, after he became a star.
Yeah.
And then that offside thing where.
But sports or any other sports may particularly, there are a lot of politics everyone knows. but the only way is to rise above the politics.
Yeah,
You can't be
yeah.
in the rat race.
No, and
Champions can
see,
be.
whatever it is, I feel that there is a simple thing. I feel that the world was unfair to Kamli when he was 15, but at 18 you were
You're
at
par,
the same
you're
level.
there.
At 18 again,
And
you were
with
at the same level.
three double turns, you are there.
You're there. I mean,
you recovered, basically.
You recovered and you were at par with Tendulkar. Now, what did you do with that opportunity? So you just screwed it
जैसा
up.
कि opportunities आगे पीछे आता है.
हाँ.
Okay, but you need to grab them
Yeah.
gracefully.
And I think
possibly.
after that, he hit only one century. He has only 4 centuries, and I think that's those 3 he hit in a row, and then he hit only one, and then it's also about how much you play the media. It's not anyway. That is a different topic altogether. But I definitely seen. I mean, I know people who know Kambli, both at least Tendulkar. And Tendulkar is बाप with all this. मतलब वो रोज सुबह जाएगा, वो 6 बजे उठेगा
दिखेगा
और वो दिखेगा इधर को नेट पे. कितना भी मतलब I don't know whether it drinks, but अगर उसने दारू भी पिया है पूरा 6 बजे वो रहेगा.
So this kind of discipline, I've read Gopi Chand's autobiography. 4 o'clock every morning for the last 14 years.
Yeah.
For himself and then for Sindhu and Saina and for on the court. I think it is beyond imagination.
Yeah.
That passion.
But you had it, boss. I mean, you just didn't recognize and realize it earlier. That's what I feel. But it's okay. I mean, I still don't think it's late. I mean, in Carrom, like, you can be playing till your hands start shaking, right? So there's another 20 years for you to
So
become a
I
world
have not
champion.
given up on my dreams as of now.
No, but I just wanted to ask you this, that someday when you're 4 pegs down, 4 peg aisa pura laga ke jhul raha hai ghar pe, do these thoughts swirl in your mind?
Without pegs also. When I'm with me, I think about all these things. It has been a good journey, but no regrets because maybe those decisions were correct at that point in time. But ऐसा लगता है कि yes, और कर सकता था. मतलब at least mistakes correct कर सकता था. I would have focused more or concentrated more than what I did. But अभी ध्यान में नहीं आया. मतलब कह रहे हैं ऐसा there was no कोचेस वगैरह, ये ऐसा नहीं होता है क्रिकेट में जैसा होता है ना. एंड देयर वाज एक्सपीरियंस इतना कुछ नहीं था. सो इफ एट ऑल आई वुड हैव लर्न फ्रॉम माय पार्टनर और फ्रेंड कि द वे ही.
So, and what about, we were just discussing this, where you think that the passion is missing amongst the children of today. Which is that what you're trying to say, or what was it?
I think it is not enough. It's the same thing. People are passionate, but वो obsession नहीं दिखता है. That obsession has to be there.
Is it also to do with probably getting everything on a platter? Like in case of your own daughters also, I'm not talking about everybody else. That if you needed that bat, or if you needed that, for example, if you're playing kabaddi and you needed those shots, it was not that easy to get those shots.
I know. I am telling you, MRI ball, for example, it was not easy at all.
Yeah,
One ball broken into 2 pieces, it would cost us 15 days possibly.
Yeah.
Another 15 days we could not have played.
Yeah.
So something of that. Yes, it is that sense of entitlement. कि everything आ जाता है. The challenge for the parents is to keep them on the ground. Celebration is important, but don't celebrate too much, because what happens, celebration kills the rigor. According to me, it is better to be conservative. And जो देना है वो देना ही पड़ता है. If whatever is needed, अभी for example for athletes they need particular type of shoes, so that is required. But they need to also value all these things in terms of they should, that gratitude has to come कि हमको मिल रहा है तो we make the most of it. So I keep on telling them कि ये मेरा शेड्यूल होता ना तो मैं तुमसे ज़्यादा करता. That much I can tell you. They do a lot.
Maybe not, because you also would have got it on a platter. No, I'm seriously saying this. And not only you, even me. For example, my father was a big film director. I mean, I wouldn't have even tried. I mean, it's like, हो जाता है यार, घर पे मिल जाता है. That's what we see with actors in the industry, right? I mean, that वो first break तो मिलना है. So it's like that.
It is to do with parents also. अभी many times I see, most of the times rather, I see parents spoiling the kids. छोटा कुछ किया तो बड़ा करो. If they lose, the parents only justify. कि क्यों हारा है? अरे बस.
उसको भी तो सोचने दो.
Yeah, so the way to keep them on ground is, my daughter came to me saying कि shuttle shuttle was fast, therefore I could not. I lost. So I said कि सामने वाला भी fast shuttle से ही खेल रहा था. You should not encourage those excuses. So
But that is true also, na? मतलब,
correct.
that is not like that the person had a
Correct.
different
I said कि
advantage.
shuttle का सामने वाला पोर्शन होता है ना, उससे भी सामने वाला खेल रहा है ना, तो तुमको खेलना चाहिए. Even if the shuttle doesn't have feathers, it doesn't matter. तो फास्ट और स्लो का तो छोड़ो, फेदर्स भी नहीं रहेगा तो मैटर नहीं करता, बिकॉज सामने वाला एडजस्ट करे तो इन विच एवर सिचुएशन स्लिपरी कोड होगा, साबुन डाला होगा, यू नीड टू प्ले. अगर इफ सामने वाला खेल रहा है तो व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट दिस काइंड ऑफ कॉन्वर्सेशंस रिमेन इन देयर माइंड्स कि नेक्स्ट टाइम एक्सक्यूज लेके नहीं आएगा, एंड देन दे आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड. सो नेक्स्ट टाइम फास्ट शटल से एडजस्ट कर लिया. इफ आई हैड एनकरेज दैट एंड टोल्ड इट टू 10 अदर पीपल, दे वुड हाँ ठीक है, my excuse is justified, validated rather.
Yeah.
So I think few things to keep them on ground कि अगर छोटा सा victory celebrate किया तो they feel कि this is enough now. Celebration has to be graceful actually, that's the point. Even if you are celebrating, so it is अभी the point is कि they should not take things for granted, and for the parents they should stand by the kids. यार मतलब अगर कोई दिख रहा है ऑब्सेस्ड है तो 10वीं 12वीं के बाद बंद बोलो कि अभी तुम्हारा बहुत आगे
बराबर.
in a sense.
No, because I had this personal experience more recently, and I just felt that why is this kid taking all this tension of that I have to do, whatever education I have to do now. I said, you can do it when you're 24. The problem is, are you willing to sit with 18-year-olds when you're 24?
Yeah.
So do you see shame in that? If you see shame in that, then it's not working out.
Correct.
If you see no shame in that, okay, I tried this, I tried to achieve this, and I didn't go through. Now I still want to do my education. You can do it at 30, 35, 40. I mean, what's the...
I wrote a blog, retirement at 15.
Yeah.
So most of the talent retires at 15. That
You mean retirement at 50 on...
15, 1-5.
1-5. Ah.
I wrote a
So
blog
you
on
just
that.
talk about it. What is it? What was it?
So I'm saying कि everyone, sports or any other passion, for example, sports है या whichever, music है और dance है, whichever, maybe kids may be good at that, but पेरेंट्स का कहना है कि हाँ ठीक है, जो तुमको करना था ना, तुम्हारा पैशन और जो भी है वो 10th तक या 10th तक या 10th तक rather, then you have a path decided by us. And it is I think it is more to do with ego of parents कि इंजीनियर बोलेगा मेरा बेटा भी इंजीनियर ही होना चाहिए, डॉक्टर बोलेगा मेरा बेटा भी डॉक्टर ही होना चाहिए, विदाउट इवन थिंकिंग ऑफ लिसनिंग टू देम, विदाउट इवन पुटिंग इट थॉट कि चले एक बार सुनते तो हो या उसका परफॉर्मेंस तो देखते हैं या उसके कोच से तो बात करते हैं कि ये कहाँ तक जाएगा. देयर इज नो थॉट ऑन दैट, नॉट इवन स्लाइटेस्ट ऑफ द थॉट. बस 10th हो गया, 10th का एग्जाम है, एग्जाम पढ़ाई करो, एंड देन उसके बाद तुमको ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है. What do we say to the society if you don't go this path? I think that is more of peer pressure, not in the kids but with the parents.
So the mindset itself is
So मुझे
changes it.
as a parent it should feel good that my daughter is studying in London Business School. I will feel very proud, very good about it. So there is no thought beyond that. I think it's not nothing to do with the kids. It's to do with the parents.
So a parent can also have a thought saying that my daughter tried to be a national level champion and she didn't become.
That's fine.
It is perfectly all right, but what an achievement that my kid had, that she tried this with all she was obsessed and she tried and she didn't succeed. That's okay. And now I can decide, say at even 24, what do you want to do, kid? That is the kind of...
So, and this conversation starts in the family from maybe the 8th standard.
Right.
Okay, so...
कि तू अभी आगे क्या करेगा या क्या करेगी.
So then they are motivated. So somebody said, I think Arnold said in one of the interviews, a champion should not have a plan B. The moment you talk about a plan, if I talk to my daughters कि अगर तुम्हारा बैडमिंटन नहीं हुआ तो तुम MBA करो, तो बैडमिंटन नहीं होने वाला.
Wow.
I'm very sure about it. नहीं
Wow.
होने वाला.
Wow. A champion shouldn't have a plan B.
No.
I think that's...
That is said by
fabulous.
Arnold, no one else.
No, that's okay. Well, whoever said it, I mean, even if Arnold didn't say it, I mean, I think it's a terrific...
Because if you see many of the legends, they did not have a plan B.
Yeah. So there is that thing, actually. So how old are your daughters and what is...
My daughters are 15 and 17 now. They are into 10th and 12th. Their board exams are going on. But they are doing their training the way they should be. Except for the time. So fitness is a must, irrespective of the situation. You can miss out on the core training sometimes, whenever it is necessary. But in the board exams also, they have to train. Otherwise, I think in COVID also they were training every day, not outside but inside. And
So, so you are trying to give them that rigor, which you.
I'm trying to give them that. At least I'm trying to cite those mistakes which I made. Their career is their choice. So I've told their coach also कि it is not my decision. मतलब it is not going to happen that उनको बैडमिंटन खेलना है और मैं आऊँगा बोलूँगा बस हो गया. This is not going to happen. That kind of comfort you need to give to the coach also, because coaches also put in lot of efforts. And suddenly after 10th standard, if some kids are going to withdraw, then it is waste of their efforts also. And that's how the culture goes on. In the sense, if there is no culture of commitment into sports, so you can't expect Olympic medals.
Yeah. So as a final, wrap up, like what is stopping you from pursuing your dream today? I mean, what is it that, because you have the money, I'm sure that you have at least you're more comfortable than you were when you took that decision and you
Yeah.
cried in that train, and Carrom is a sport that you can peak at even 55, I'm sure, because
55, that a little difficult but not impossible. Let me
if you're
say.
obsessed,
Yeah.
Vaibhav, if you're obsessed, we just discussed all this and the material is out of the way. So both are, if you have both where the material is out of the way and no plan B anymore.
Actually, surprisingly, in COVID there was a big opportunity for me, but I mean, नहीं आ रहा है वो. I don't know why. Well, COVID was a great opportunity. I was at home, working from home. Flexibility was there in the sense I could have worked at any hours. I could have traveling time was so even if you say 4 hours of my traveling time was saved, I could have played for 3 hours easily. But Carrom though, for the love of the Carrom, although it doesn't look nice, it is there like here in front of my door. The moment someone enters my living room, first thing he sees is Carrom and the mess around it. But I don't care. I love the game and it is there. But a cover निकालने के लिए भी when I sit for 4-5 hours. But every day नहीं होता. I don't know. But I should seriously try doing that. अभी तक हुआ नहीं है. I don't know whether that obsession is lost. I'm too much of an acceptance has come in, or I've given up. Dream is one thing which is dream, but it doesn't make any sense. Dream doesn't make any sense without actions. So dream तो रहेगा. Dream तो ऐसे ही रहेगा if I don't do something. But maybe I don't know. So I've started believing that मैंने कुछ भी किया तो आज कुछ नहीं हो सकता. That kind of belief has creeped in possibly.
But I'll tell you what you can do. I mean, this is just a suggestion.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
free to follow. or
Sure,
just
welcome.
ignore me, because a lot of people ignore me anyway. But I'm saying that I think you need to just go to Mukhtar Bhai's club
I went.
every day without fail, and get that rigor in your own life of going and just playing there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think you'll be a different person in a year. That's my view. It's just that what probably you're doing is that you're sitting at home and you are trying to get motivated like that. You probably at this point you just need somebody else to motivate you to get into it. And you meet those players and you say, I am going to kick his ass, and that once that kind of that kind of thing comes in, I'm sure that you will do much better. But it was such a pleasure to talk with you.
Same here,
Atul. And I honestly regret never having discussed this in Bajaj. And if I had known that you were crying in that train, I'm telling you, I would have told you to just go after.
We never interacted or met. Maybe you are into a different class of marketing.
I was a finance guy. But that doesn't matter. I mean, I was anyway not anywhere. I never went to the library. What I was doing. But that doesn't matter. I mean, what I feel is that sometimes you just need someone to talk to you, in
Right.
terms of and someone to tell you. When for example, in business schools, you meet the same kind of people. were all, I mean, most people that I remember were just there for a job.
I was
Nobody
coming.
was there for
I was
learning.
coming to that only. Someone like you who understands what is obsession you would have spoken. Then it would have been at a different level of
I
connect.
don't know what I would have spoken then, but yeah, what I'm speaking now with you, I mean, it's also my personal experiences and
Right.
what level it was. So, but that's I think it's for that discussion is for some other time. But it was such a pleasure to have you
Same
here.
here. Same here. Absolutely, Atul.
And I hope, honestly, I hope that I call you again, maybe 3 years from now, as this national champion. And I'm serious about this, and I hope you get there because I think it's never late. Trust me, it's never late. I always hear kids talking like when I am in when I'm shooting and I have these 20 to 23-year-old ADs, and I tell them, boss, it's okay, but you go to the film institute, not because you need to learn cinema only, it's because you get to discover your cinema. What is it that you want to make? What is it that because in the industry it's like that. Eventually you'll come to the industry and try to, but you also need to know what your cinema is.
Yeah.
Simple thing like that. So that is why you need to go to the Film Institute in Pune or
Correct.
SRFTI or whatever, because those places allow you that kind of leeway. And I said that is what you need to do, but they don't get it. And there are 20, 22-year-olds who will come to me and say that, sir, mere paas to time nahi hai. I said, how? and like earlier also when I was teaching, I used to teach for CAT and all that with IMS, and I used to hear this kid saying like, sir, mere paas to time nahi hai. And I'm like, bloody, who are you talking with? Itna to samjho, boss. Ki 27 mein I'm at FTI and at 31 I passed out. I'm saying it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You are, and one day you're going to die, and the whole thing is to be that, did I have fun? I mean, it's these are simple questions. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that these are questions which are internal to you and which you have to answer for yourself.
Yeah.
And the answers for every person are different. And that is how choices are made.
Yeah.
And I think for you, I think you are the guy, I think, who made that choice on that train. Not on that train, but when you decided this 45 minutes mein mere ko ye khatam karne ka hai. The moment you said कि 45 days में खत्म करने का है, it was obvious that the choice was to do an MBA and and finish that MBA and get that job.
You're right.
And
You're right, actually.
and I think but I feel it's not late, and I feel that it's high time that you get back to your rigor, because you understand all these things far better now. And I wish you all the well. I wish your daughters all the well, and I will be there if they were playing in the Olympics. I will be cheering on, obviously, like all of us from Bajaj, because it's family. And we'll all be cheering on, and I definitely hope to see them, because with a father like you, I actually think that they will be, because they will be somewhere,
Thank you.
because they'll understand this, and when they listen to you on this podcast, I think they'll understand you a little better, and they'll understand what they need to do themselves. And thank you so much for this conversation.
Thanks, Atul, for inviting. Yeah, it
So
was
much.
such a
Thank you so
pleasure
much
to
for this
run,
conversation.
run through all those experiences. So such a engaging kind of chat. I would not have had this kind of a chat for a long time. Rather never. It's with someone you can connect with in terms of your passion and obsession. So it was pleasure.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I drop a new episode every Friday night at around 10 p.m. I will also end this and every episode by recommending a film or a web series. But before that, here is a small message on how you can help to keep this podcast alive and growing. This episode is free, and I intend to keep it that way. But it does take a lot of time, money, and effort to produce the show. We research, write, record, and edit before we finally present it to you. So if you wish to be a part of our effort, you can support the making of the show by contributing any amount you wish on our website, conversationswithatul.com/support. Since we discuss sports, let me recommend one of my all-time favorite sports films. It is called Remember the Titans, written by Gregory Allen Howard, directed by Boaz Yakin, and a stellar cast led by Denzel Washington and Will Patton. The film is a true story of how a colored coach manages to run a first season of a racially integrated unit. Remember the Titans rates a high 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb. Do watch if you haven't already. The name of the film is Remember the Titans. Follow me on Twitter by following my Twitter handle Atul Taishete, spelled as ATULTAISHETE. Also, do visit my website, Conversations, that is, Conversations plural with an S. The complete website address is conversationswithatul.com. So see you next Friday at 10 p.m. with a different guest, a new episode and a fresh conversation right here on Conversations with Atul. Have a rocking fun week and stay safe. Thank you.